Chapter 337. In the past, it had always been people who tried everything to be his apprentice. Now, someone was trying everything to take him in as a disciple. Moreover, it was the highly respected Qi Shaowen. Many passers-by turned to look at them. Many of the archaeology students did not know who Tang Zheng was. They were all trying to guess who he was. Yen Liang almost fainted. Damn, was there any justice in this world? What exactly was so great about this kid? Qi Shaowen stared at Tang Zheng with burning eyes, waiting for his answer. However, Tang Zheng shook his head. Thank you for your kindness. My ambition lies elsewhere. Qi Shaowen gritted his teeth and said, Don't be in such a hurry to turn me down. You don't know the charm of this industry. Today I'll take you to a place. I'll let you experience the charm of this industry before you make a decision. Tang Zheng found it difficult to turn down Qi Shaowen's offer. Since the old man was so enthusiastic, he would follow him and see what charm he had. All right. Where are we going? Qi Shaowen's eyes lit up. He was excited. Let's go. You'll know when we get there. I promise it'll be a good place. Then he grabbed Tang Zheng's sleeve as if he was afraid that he would run away. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the two of them disappeared. However, before they could reach the school gate, they were stopped by Li Xiaotian. Where are you going? Hey, it's you. Qi Shaowen had a deep impression of Li Xiaotian. He could not forget the Ladies of the Nine Heavens painting. Hey, can we talk about this again? Can I borrow the original Ladies of the Nine Heavens painting? Qi Shaowen asked. The news that the Ladies of the Nine Heavens painting was a fake had spread within a small circle. It caused a huge commotion in the archaeology world. Many people asked Qi Shaowen how he discovered the flaw. When they heard that it was one of his students, they found it unbelievable. They wanted to know where the original painting was and if they could have a chance to appreciate its charm. Li Xiaotian still shook his head. I'm not the one keeping the original painting. I can't get my hands on it, so I can't show it to you. What a pity, what a pity. Qi Shaowen let out a long sigh. Li Xiaotian changed the topic and asked, Where are you going? Oh, I'm Tang Zheng. I'm going to see the charm of archaeology. Li Xiaotian suddenly had an idea and asked, Can I go with you? Of course. Let's go together. Qi Shaowen readily agreed. Li Xiaotian walked to Tang Zheng's side and asked in a low voice, Why is this old man so enthusiastic? He's like a completely different person from yesterday. Tang Zheng shook his head and smiled bitterly. He wants to take me as his disciple. Li Xiaotian couldn't help but laugh. Oh, so you're quite popular? By the way, how did you determine the authenticity of those things yesterday? It's just a feeling, Tang Zheng said lightly. Li Xiaotian pursed his lips and pretended to be mysterious. Is this a secret skill of cultivators? Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. He wasn't sure if this was a common skill of cultivators, especially the airflow in the bronze mask. If other cultivators could also sense that airflow and then absorb it, wouldn't they be able to quickly increase their cultivation? Besides, what was so special about that bronze mask? He couldn't tell at the moment and could only say perfunctorily, maybe. Cultivators have so many magical things. It seems that the legends are true. No wonder the people of Wuzong hate you to the core. You have too many advantages in many aspects. Li Xiaotian said meaningfully. Why does Wuzong want to kill cultivators so badly? I don't think all martial artists are prejudiced against cultivators. In this world, only Wuzong hates you. There is a historical reason for this because Wuzong was created by New Era's descendants to guard against you cultivators. New Era's descendants? Tang Zheng was shocked. He had a deep impression of this legendary figure from hundreds of years ago. He actually used such a great method to expel such a powerful cultivator to the sky beyond heaven. Weren't all the cultivators expelled back then? Isn't it unnecessary to create a Wuzong? Tang Zheng asked suspiciously. Li Xiaotian shook her head and said, It seems that you don't know much about what happened at that time. I only know a few words, but after the cultivators were expelled, it didn't take long for some other cultivators to emerge. These were some people who obtained the cultivation method left behind by the cultivators by chance. The purpose of the martial sect was to eliminate these people. Tang Zheng suddenly realized, but he also felt a chill in his heart. New Era really wanted to kill all the cultivators. He did not want a cultivator to exist in this world. After hundreds of years, there are very few cultivators, so I'm very surprised that you can still become a cultivator. Furthermore, your master's cultivation is so high that he was able to avoid being hunted down by Wuzong for so many years. It's truly a miracle. Li Xiaotian praised. Tang Zheng said that Tian Chanzi did not cultivate to such a high realm bit by bit, but was the result of his rebirth. What are you two whispering about? Hurry up and get in the car. Qi Shaoan stopped a taxi and called out. The taxi went straight to Pan Garden. It was the first time for Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian to set foot here. This was a huge antique trading market. It was bustling with people and there were all kinds of real or fake antiques. Qi Shaoan brought the two of them to an antique shop called the Imperial Treasure House. As soon as they stepped through the door, Tang Zheng felt a vast ancient aura blow against his face. He could not help but gasp. There were many treasures in this shop. This aura was condensed from many real antiques. An old man with a white beard wearing a long robe walked over and shouted, "Old Qi, how come you're willing to come to my little place? Don't you have classes today?" Qi Shaoan's face was glowing as he said, "Old Wei, I've brought my apprentice here today to experience the charm of archaeology. Of course I'd pick your shop. In the entire Panjiayuan Gardens, you're the one with the most treasures." This old man with a white beard was the one who spoke to Qi Shaoan on the phone yesterday. He was also the one who discovered the true mystery of the Twinkle Gem Pagoda. Old Wei stared at Qi Shaoan as if he was looking at an alien. "Old Qi, when did you take in a disciple? I thought you never took in disciples?" Qi Shaoan chuckled. "That was in the past. Now I've met a genius, the future star of the archaeology world. Of course I can't let go of such a piece of unpolished jade." As he spoke, he looked at Tang Zheng with a burning gaze. Old Wei was enlightened. "What did you say about the future star yesterday? Was it not a joke? Was it real?" "Of course it was real. But let me tell you, you're done for. Don't think about such good things. I'm taking this disciple. No one else can compete with me." Qi Shaoan said eagerly as if he was declaring his sovereignty. Old Wei was shocked. He and Qi Shaoan had been classmates since they were young and had been close friends for many years. He had never seen Qi Shaoan so attentive to anyone. He could not help but look curiously at Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian. This young man's aura was strange. There was a kind of domineering aura. It was almost impossible for a young man to have this kind of aura. It would only appear in people of high status. Old Wei's eyes flashed as if he wanted to see through Tang Zheng. But in the end, he could not see through Tang Zheng even with his decades of experience in antiques. This little girl's temperament was not simple either. He could vaguely sense a fierce aura. These two were so young, but why did they give off such an extraordinary feeling? This was the taste. Ordinary people would not have such feelings when looking at Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian, but Old Wei was the owner of this imperial treasury. He had been dealing with different people for decades. Moreover, he had been going through all kinds of real and fake antiques all day long. He had developed a pair of sharp eyes. "Old Qi, who's the disciple you're talking about?" Old Wei could not make up his mind. Qi Shaoan pointed at Tang Zheng and said, "Hey, this is the future star of the archaeological world." Tang Zheng was thick-skinned. He did not blush at such a compliment. Instead, he looked at the imperial treasury curiously. There were many antiques in the shop, including jade, calligraphy, paintings, ceramics, bronze, iron, and so on. Each of them had a kind of vicissitudes of life, which meant that all the antiques in this shop were authentic. This was the amazing part. It was rare for a shop to guarantee that all the antiques were authentic. After listening to Qi Shaoan's introduction, Old Wei stared straight at Tang Zheng. After a while he said, "Old Qi, where did you find him?" "He's this year's undergraduate student at Yenqing University. I've really found a treasure." "You said he's a genius. What proof do you have?" Old Wei was skeptical. He had lived for so many years and had seen so many so-called geniuses. Therefore he was not surprised. After all, many geniuses were just bragging. Qi Shaoan laughed. "I'm going to open your eyes today. Let's talk in the back hall." He was very familiar with the imperial treasury. He strode to the back hall. "You two hurry up. Let me tell you, Old Wei has a lot of treasures hidden away. Today I'm going to open your eyes and let you understand the real charm of this business." The number of treasures in the imperial treasury was well known in the Panjiayuan. However, most people could only see the antiques placed in the lobby. These were all for sale and many of the treasures were not for sale. These were the treasures of the imperial treasury. This was the foundation of the imperial treasury. It was something that others could not compare to. Seeing his old friend so excited, Old Wei did not stop him. Instead, he went with them to the back hall. The back hall was slightly smaller than the front hall. The decorations were also simpler. There were even fewer antiques on the wooden shelves. However, when Tang Zheng walked in, his entire body couldn't help but tremble, and his gaze turned cold because this time, not only did he feel an even denser ancient aura, he also felt a few slowly flowing streams of air. Especially one of the streams of air that was like a clear spring flowing on the stone floor. The clear and melodious sound caused Tang Zheng's mind to tremble. Chapter 338. Tang Jing hurriedly followed the flow of energy. It was a three-legged bronze cauldron. The cauldron was engraved with lifelike patterns of flowers, birds, fishes, and insects. Tang Jing was shocked. Could this be a Dharma artifact like the 9 revolving alchemy cauldron? He couldn't help but walk towards the bronze cauldron. The flow of energy became more and more obvious. He even heard the sound of running water. Tang Jing could hear the sound of flowing water. The others saw Tang Jing's action. Li Xiaotian was curious. Qi Shaowen and Old Wei exchanged a look. They were both surprised. Qi Shaowen, on the other hand, was relieved. He winked at Old Wei and said, "What do you think?" Old Wei's heart was in turmoil. He had brought some important guests to the back hall to admire his collection. However, none of them had shown such strong interest in this bronze cauldron. Only Old Wei and Qi Shaowen knew the extraordinary origin of this bronze cauldron. Old Wei's expression turned serious when he saw Tang Jing's reaction. Strange. Old Wei gritted his teeth. Qi Shaowen chuckled. My disciple doesn't appraise antiques the same way we do. He relies on his intuition. Intuition? Old Wei frowned. That's too surreal. That's because it's illusory to others, Qi Shaowen said boastfully. Old Wei was skeptical. He walked to Tang Jing's side and saw him staring at the bronze cauldron with glowing eyes. Young man, what do you see? Old Wei asked curiously. What's the origin of this thing? Tang Jing asked without looking up. This is a bronze cauldron used for sacrificial rituals from 3,000 years ago. It has great research value. Old Wei said. Tang Jing didn't care about the research value. He only found the flow of energy inside the bronze cauldron to be extremely attractive. He had already determined that this bronze cauldron was not a Dharma artifact, but an ordinary antique. However, it contained such a rich flow of air, and Tang Jing had to figure out the reason for this. Originally, he thought that the flow of air in the bronze mask was just a coincidence. Now that it had appeared again, it was not a coincidence. It was inevitable. As long as he absorbed these streams of air, his power would advance by leaps and bounds. He would never let go of this opportunity. Noticing that Tang Jing's expression was getting more and more serious, the other three's curiosity was piqued. Qi Shaowen asked, Tang Jing, is there a problem? Tang Jing shook his head and quickly found the other 4 antiques in the room. He asked them one by one what they were and what they were used for in ancient times. Old Wei was already familiar with his collection and answered them one by one. However, he had more and more questions in his heart. The few items that this young man had found so easily seemed to have something in common. Tang Jing had already found this commonality, which was the sacrificial ceremony. These few items were all used for sacrificial ceremonies, including the bronze mask from yesterday. In other words, only the artifacts used in ancient sacrificial ceremonies would have such a unique aura. Ancient sacrificial ceremonies were often related to gods and the like. Therefore, the artifacts used for sacrificial ceremonies were probably imbued with this kind of spirituality. The flow of air in these artifacts was a kind of spiritual energy. This was similar to the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but there were many differences. However, there was no doubt that it could improve Tang Jing's cultivation. Do you have any more of these sacrificial antiques in your shop? Asked Tang Jing. Sacrificial ceremonies? Old Wei was enlightened. He finally understood what these things had in common, and that was that they were all sacrificial objects. Why are you looking for these? Asked Old Wei suspiciously. Qi Shaowen chimed in, there aren't many sacrificial artifacts in the market these past few years, and only a few have been unearthed over the years. Tang Jing couldn't help but feel disappointed when he heard that. Young man, you haven't answered my question yet. Why are you looking for these things? Asked Old Wei, his eyes shining brightly. Tang Jing was taken aback. He was too excited and almost gave himself away. He quickly calmed himself down and said, It's nothing. I'm just interested in these kinds of antiques. Qi Shaowen's eyes lit up and he laughed in his heart. Ah, he was indeed a genius. Even though he had rejected Old Wei's offer so bluntly, he was still fascinated by the antiques he was interested in. This was true professionalism. Old Wei was skeptical. He said, Oh, very few people are interested in these kinds of antiques. Qi Shaowen retorted, Old Wei, you're just being biased. In our line of work, we can be interested in anything. Why can't Tang Jing be interested in sacrificial artifacts? Old Wei forced a smile and said, That's rare. Of course it's rare. Now you see it. This is his intuition. He has a natural sensitivity to antiques. None of us can compare to him. Old Wei sighed. Even he wouldn't have been able to identify all the sacrificial artifacts in the shop at a glance if he didn't have some prior knowledge of these antiques. After all, they were not of the same type. Could it be that his intuition was really that powerful? Li Xiaotian, on the other hand, watched this scene with great interest. She was also very interested in the cultivators. As a former expert in this world, she wanted to carefully understand what was so special about this group of people. Can I touch these antiques? Tang Jing asked. Go ahead. Old Wei gestured. Tang Jing's fingers stroked the 4 antiques one by one. The 4 streams of energy were quickly absorbed into his body and transformed into true qi. In an instant, the true qi in his body reached 5 inches and 8 parts. He just needed to absorb a little more and he would break through to the 6th grade of the foundation establishment stage. This was much faster than his cultivation speed. He carefully concealed the joy in his heart and returned to the 3-legged bronze cauldron. The others watched him with curiosity. They didn't understand his intentions. Li Xiaoyan's eyes narrowed into slits. Her intuition was much sharper than the other 2 old men. She gradually realized that Tang Zheng's aura had changed. What's going on? He just touched the antiques. How could there be such a change? Li Xiaotian was puzzled. Tang Jing took a deep breath. His hands were placed on the outer wall of the 3-legged bronze cauldron. Suddenly, the spiritual power was like a small river. It flowed through his fingers and entered his body through his meridians. Suddenly, a deep sound echoed in his mind. He didn't understand what was going on. The spiritual power that flowed into his body didn't converge in his dantian. Instead, it quickly gathered in his left pocket. Sumeru pouch. Tang Jing suddenly realized that the spiritual power was actually converging in his Sumeru pouch. Moreover, it was rapidly being absorbed by his Sumeru pouch. Tang Jing was surprised. He quickly probed his divine sense into his Sumeru pouch. He found that the 9-revolving alchemy furnace was rapidly rotating. The spiritual power was actually being absorbed by it. Moreover, the 9-revolving alchemy furnace was emitting a bright light. The carvings of rare birds and strange beasts were vivid and lifelike. It was as if they were about to fly out of the furnace. Could it be that this spiritual power is very useful to the 9-revolving alchemy furnace and can even upgrade its grade? Tang Jing guessed. In the blink of an eye, the 9-revolving alchemy furnace had completely absorbed the spiritual power. Its light increased and it was trembling non-stop like thunder. However, all of this was isolated by the Sumeru pouch. Besides Tang Jing, no one else was able to discover the slightest clue. Suddenly, the light completely converged. The 9-revolving alchemy furnace also stopped rotating. However, Tang Jing's eyes bloomed with ecstasy. This was because the 9-revolving alchemy furnace had really been upgraded. From a yellow-grade artifact to a profound-grade artifact. This meant that the quality of the pills that Tang Jing refined in the future would be even higher. Tang Jing, what's wrong with you? The others saw that Tang Jing seemed to be possessed and quickly shouted. As if waking up from a dream, Tang Jing said, I'm fine. You still say you're fine? We called out to you so loudly just now and you didn't even respond. You scared us to death. Qi Shaowen complained. Oh really? I'm sorry. Tang Jing's mind was completely immersed in the 9-revolving alchemy furnace. He actually did not notice what was happening outside. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Jing with a complicated expression. Where's Elder Wei? Tang Jing noticed that there was one person missing in the room. Qi Shaowen said, he had an important guest to entertain so he went out temporarily. Tang Jing, now you know the charm of archaeology? This time, Tang Jing did not immediately refute. Instead, he asked, Professor Qi, if I study under you, will I have the opportunity to come in contact with these kinds of antiques in the future? Of course I will. Let me tell you, as long as there's a major archaeological discovery in the country, I'll usually be there in person. Since you're interested in ritual objects, you can't let go of this great opportunity. Qi Shaowen said. Tang Jing pondered. Without a doubt, if he studied archaeology under Qi Shaowen, it was very likely that he would come across similar antiques again. Then, he could absorb the spiritual energy in them and it would be very beneficial to his cultivation. Alright, I promise you. Tang Jing nodded. Qi Shaowen was so happy that he almost jumped up. He held Tang Jing's hand tightly and said, Haha, I knew you'd agree once you realized the charm. I was right about you. Don't worry, I'll pass on everything I've learned to you so that you can bring archaeology to a new height. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Jing suspiciously. She did not know why he had changed so much. She felt that the more time she spent with Tang Jing, the more mysterious he became. It took Qi Shaowen a long time to suppress his excitement. He kept explaining the origins of the other antiques in the room to Tang Zheng. He even told him that many of them were related to famous historical figures. Tang Zheng was unwittingly attracted. Although these antiques were not as useful to him as the ritual objects, they had their own unique charm. Gradually, Tang Zheng was attracted to them. He could not help but feel that he was wise to choose archaeology when he filled in his application form after the college entrance examination. Otherwise, he would have missed such a great opportunity. Chapter 339. The three of them were interrupted by the commotion. When they walked out, they found the atmosphere in the hall was heavy. A few shop assistants were on guard while Old Wei stood in front of a middle-aged man with a red face. This man was tall, with thick eyebrows and a resolute face. He exuded an aura that made one's heart palpitate. Old Wei, I came here because I trusted you. But now that something like this has happened, my wife's life is in danger. Do you think I should tear down your shop? The man said in a deep voice. His voice was magnetic, but it didn't lose its dignity. There was even a hint of suppressed anger. Old Wei hesitated for a long time before he said, I also don't know why this happened. Could it be that your wife fell ill because of some other reason? The man snorted and said, I've invited the best doctors in the country, but they couldn't find a single clue. This means that this isn't a medical problem. It can only be something else. Moreover, she only had a relapse the day after I gave her the blood jade. If it wasn't because of the blood jade, what else could it be? Mr. Qin, the blood jade doesn't have such side effects. Old Wei explained patiently. Is that so? But why did I hear that the blood jade is formed by absorbing fresh blood? It's not an auspicious item? Why didn't you tell me this when I bought it? If not, why would I choose a blood jade to give to my wife? The man said angrily. That's all nonsense. The bloody color in the blood jade is the result of the iron element, not blood. Humph, that's just your one-sided story. I, Qin Badian, don't like to bully others, but you've caused my wife's life to be in danger. Today I have no choice but to be the bad guy. Qin Badian's face sank as he was about to make a move. Old Wei was so frightened that his legs went soft. Although he was famous in the antique industry, he didn't have any chance to retaliate against the person before him. The antique industry was filled with people from all walks of life. Thus, Old Wei understood the person before him very well. The other party was a true ferocious person. He came to Beijing alone more than 10 years ago. There were crouching tigers and hidden dragons in Beijing, but he relied on his own ability to make a name for himself. He was a person of the underworld and was a well-known figure in the underworld of the capital. However, he had gradually retired from the underworld in recent years. Instead, he had turned to business and was doing very well. He was a legend, but there was another thing about him that people loved to talk about, and that was the relationship between him and his wife. Qin Badian wasn't as fickle as other people in the underworld. On the contrary, he was extremely devoted and was extremely protective of his wife. He was an extremely good man. This time his wife's life was actually in danger. One could imagine how intense the anger in his heart was. Stop. Qi Shaoan was enraged when he saw his old friend being threatened. He had always been in the ivory tower and did not know who Qin Badian was, so he stepped forward without fear. Seeing this, Old Wei hurriedly stopped him. Mr. Qin, a man is responsible for his own actions. This is my friend, please don't make things difficult for him. If you really think that your wife's illness is related to the blood jade I sold, then I have nothing to say. I can only let you do whatever you want with me. Qi Shaoan bellowed, Old Wei, have you gone senile? The legends about the blood jade were all lies and lies. What era are we in now? Why do people still believe in such nonsense? Qin Badian didn't rush to make a move. Instead, he glanced at Qi Shaoan and said, Old man, there are many things in this world that you don't know. Science can't explain everything. Some things are far more mysterious than you can imagine. You may think that the blood jade isn't the cause, but I believe that the blood jade is. If you dare hurt him, I'll call the police. Qi Shaoan refused to budge. Don't call the police. Old Wei hurriedly shouted. Sai Old Qi, you guys should go back first. I'll deal with this myself. But his face was ashen. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that he couldn't deal with this. Tang Jing roughly understood the whole story. This shop had sold a piece of blood jade to Qin Badian, which had caused his wife's life to be in danger. Tang Jing didn't immediately deny Qin Badian's judgment. After all, he was a cultivator and knew very well that there were many mysterious things in this world. Moreover, didn't he just absorb spiritual energy from a few antiques? Hence, some antiques had unimaginable uses and dangers. Tang Jing took a step forward, standing protectively in front of Qi Shaoan and Old Wei. He looked at Qin Badian and said, "Mister, if you have something to say, let's talk it over. It's not right to attack an old man." Qin Beixian's eyes narrowed as he stared at Tang Zheng. He asked in a low voice, "Who are you?" "He's my student, my disciple," Qi Shaoan said impatiently. Qin Beixian's eyes flashed like lightning. He saw that Tang Zheng was as calm as an abyss. He didn't show the slightest hint of fear in the face of Qin Beixian's imposing aura. On the contrary, the aura Tang Zheng was exuding was not to be underestimated. "Mr. Qin, this matter has nothing to do with Tang Zheng. He's still a student, please don't lower yourself to his level." Old Wei saw that Tang Zheng had stepped forward bravely and hurriedly said. He was both moved and anxious. "Tang Zheng," Qin Badian exclaimed. His gaze turned complicated as he asked suspiciously, "You're Tang Zheng from Yenqing University?" Tang Zheng was stunned. Qin Badian had actually heard of his name before. Qi Shaoan and Old Wei were also surprised. Could it be that Tang Zheng was very famous? Even this person knew of him. "That's me," Tang Zheng admitted. Qin Badian said, "I didn't expect to meet you under such circumstances. I've heard many things about you. My wife has also mentioned you before. You've even met once. But since you're here, I'll wait for 3 days. If my wife's condition doesn't improve, I'll really tear down the imperial treasury." The two old men were shocked. They didn't expect that the murderous Qin Badian would take the initiative to compromise after hearing Tang Zheng's name. Old Wei looked at Tang Zheng suspiciously. He couldn't see through him anymore. He asked in a low voice, "Old Qi, what's the background of this disciple of yours?" Qi Shaoan shook his head in confusion. He didn't know much about Tang Zheng. He also didn't know that just his name alone would have such a huge impact. "Heh, it seems that the disciple I've accepted this time is not simple," Tang Zheng guessed. He was now infamous in the upper echelons of the capital. He didn't even give face to the Chu clan. Moreover, he had a mysterious master behind him. He was also the future son-in-law of the Ye family. No one would dare to underestimate him. This also showed that Qin Badian wasn't an ordinary person. However, he was curious about Qin Beixian's wife. He didn't know when he had met her, so he asked, "May I know who your wife is?" "Li Hongqing," Qin Badian said. "It's her." Tang Zheng suddenly realized. Wasn't Li Hongqing the private restaurant they had gone to for their dormitory party? Tang Zheng and Chu Xiaofeng had gotten into a conflict there. Li Hongqing had even given them a free meal. Li Hongqing was an ordinary person, but the person in front of him was definitely not ordinary. He was a true master. A master that even Tang Zheng couldn't see through. No wonder Li Hongqing dared to embarrass Chu Xiaofeng. It turned out that her husband was not simple. Hearing that Li Hongqing's life was in danger and that it was related to antiques, Tang Zheng's interest was piqued. "I don't know if it's possible for me to pay your wife a visit. I know a little about medicine. I'd like to see if I can help." Qin Beixian's heart skipped a beat. He remembered the rumor that the king of medicine had once wanted to accept Tang Zheng as his disciple. It was also said that Tang Zheng's master was also a master of medicine. It was very likely that Tang Zheng's medical skills were also very good. Perhaps there really was a chance for Li Hongqing to survive. Qin Badian thanked him sincerely. "Thank you very much. With your help, perhaps Hongqing really does have a chance." Qi Shaoan and Old Wei were dumbfounded. Did this kid know medicine as well? He wasn't a medical student. He was an archaeologist. But judging from Qin Beixian's attitude, it was obvious that he trusted Tang Zheng's abilities. Old Wei couldn't help but sigh. "Old Qi, this disciple of yours isn't simple. If it weren't for him today, this shop of mine really would have closed down." Qi Shaoan patted his old friend's shoulder and chuckled. "Now you know that my disciple has made the right choice. Then there's no time to lose. Let's go now," Tang Zheng said. "Tang Zheng, I'll go with you. I also want to see what's going on with that blood jade," Old Wei said. "I'll go too. I've been an archaeologist for so many years, but I've never heard of anything like this. I want to see if it's true or not." Qi Shaoan still didn't believe that this was all because of a single blood jade. Li Xiaotian and Tang Jing naturally didn't leave each other's side. Qin Badian looked at Li Xiaotian thoughtfully and agreed to their request. The group got into a car and sped towards the Qin residence. As soon as they entered the house, they heard a servant yelling, "Oh no, something happened to Madam. Madam has gone crazy. She wants to kill someone." Qin Beixian's face darkened. He shouted angrily, "What happened to Madam?" Seeing that the master of the house had returned, the servant said in a daze, "Madam suddenly woke up. Then she seemed to have gone crazy. She scratched and scratched everyone she saw. It was as if she wanted to kill someone. As she spoke, she raised her arm. Indeed, there were a few scratch marks on it. Qin Baishan's expression changed. He couldn't care less about the guests and rushed into the house. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian didn't want to be left behind. They quickly chased after him. A piercing scream rang out. This was Li Hongqing's voice. Tang Zheng found it familiar, but this shrill scream was completely different from the one he saw at the private restaurant. Bang! There was the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground. Then a figure rushed out. There was a flash of cold light. She held a kitchen knife in her hand and waved it in front of her face. Intermittent screams came from her mouth. In addition, her hair was disheveled and her face was strangely red. There was also a blood-red peace buckle hanging on her chest. It must be the blood jade. Chapter 340. This person was Li Hongqing. Tang Zheng couldn't see the slightest trace of her past temperament. He only felt a strange aura lingering around her, causing his heart to palpitate. What color is this? The others were also shocked, especially Qi Shaoan and Old Wei. No matter how they looked at it, this person seemed to have gone mad. Qin Badian had a pained expression as he called out to Hongqing and rushed over. Li Hongqing's face flashed with malevolence as she brandished the kitchen knife, viciously chopping towards Qin Badian. Qin Baishan's eyes flashed with shock. He didn't know why his wife wanted to kill him. However, Qin Badian grabbed onto his wife's wrist. Li Hongqing struggled with all her might, causing him to stagger and almost fall. Everyone couldn't help but cry out in shock. This was truly unexpected, but Qin Badian was an expert after all. His reaction speed was extremely fast as he dodged the kitchen knife and hugged his wife tightly. Li Hongqing continued to struggle as she let out a sharp roar. Her eyes turned red as though she wanted to devour someone. Hongqing, it's me. I'm Badian. What's wrong with you? Why did you become like this? Qin Badian asked bitterly. Li Hongqing turned a deaf ear to his words as she continued to struggle and scream. Why does it seem like she's possessed? Li Xiaotian asked hesitantly. Possessed? Everyone was shocked. That's right, Li Hongqing's appearance was very similar to that of the legendary evil. Qin Baishan's heart turned cold. If it was a medical problem, it would still be fine. But this kind of mysterious problem wasn't so easy to solve. He looked towards Tang Zheng as though he was asking for help. Tang Zheng, do you have any ideas? Tang Zheng didn't reply as he directly walked over. His finger reached for the blood-red safety buckle. Li Hongqing was wearing pajamas, and the safety buckle was about to sink into the gap between her breasts. However, Tang Zheng didn't nod his head. Qin Badian had a suspicious look on his face, but he didn't stop him. When Tang Zheng's fingers came into contact with the blood jade, Li Hongqing's eyes suddenly flashed with a terrifying light. Her screams grew louder and louder as her strength abruptly increased. She actually managed to struggle free from Qin Baishan's embrace as her fingers clawed towards Tang Zheng's face. Tang Zheng, be careful. Qi Shaoan shouted anxiously. Tang Zheng didn't move at all. His finger touched the center of Li Hongqing's forehead at lightning speed, and the scream came to an abrupt end. She was motionless as if she had been paralyzed. However, her face was still filled with a ferocious struggle, which was very frightening. The others were dumbfounded. This was simply like magic. The others didn't understand what was going on at all. Why was she so quiet with just a finger? Qin Baishan's brows furrowed as a look of joy appeared on his face. Since Tang Zheng could control her, that meant that there was hope for him to cure her. Li Hongqing gradually closed her eyes, and her expression finally returned to normal. Tang Zheng reached out and removed the blood jade. It was extremely cold when he touched it. Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. The finger he used just now wasn't as simple as it looked. When his fingertip touched Li Hongqing's skin, a crazy and cold spiritual energy instantly passed through his fingertip and into his body. If an ordinary person was entangled by this spiritual energy, they would definitely die. However, Tang Zheng's vital energy quickly dissolved this spiritual energy and converted it into his own vital energy. This spiritual energy was very similar to the spiritual energy that Tang Zheng had absorbed before, but it was more aggressive and cold. This spiritual energy was sent into her body by the blood jade. It was now lingering in her body, controlling her body and mind. Mr. Qin, please carry your wife back to her room. Tang Zheng temporarily controlled the yin energy in her body, causing her to fall into a coma again. Qin Badian hurriedly supported Li Hongqing as he anxiously asked, Tang Zheng, do you have a way to save her? Tang Zheng didn't make any guarantees as he lightly said, I have a clue. I will do my best. Hearing this, Qin Badian was overjoyed and couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. He was already at his wits' end and was on the verge of despair. He didn't think that there would be a ray of hope. Tang Jing, thank you. You saved my wife. Qin Badian will definitely remember your kindness. Qin Badian emotionally said. Qi Shaoan originally wanted to stop Tang Jing, telling him not to be so reckless. After all, saving a life wasn't something that could be done just by feeling. However, seeing how much Qin Badian trusted him, he swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue. He was also somewhat curious as to how Tang Jing was going to save her. I wonder what kind of illness she is suffering from? Old Wei asked with concern, as this was a matter of his responsibility. Tang Jing opened his hand and the blood jade lay quietly in the middle of his palm, glowing with a rosy luster. He asked, Old Wei, what is the origin of this blood jade? Could it really be related to the blood jade? Old Wei's heart skipped a beat as Qi Shaoan also revealed a look of concern. Earlier, the two of them had solemnly vowed that there was nothing wrong with the blood jade. However, after seeing Li Hongqing's crazed state, their hearts began to pound like a drum. After all, they had never heard of an illness like hers. Qin Badian and Li Xiaotian were also quite curious as they looked at Tang Jing, waiting for his answer. Tang Jing nodded. It is indeed related to the blood jade. That's why I want to know the origin of this blood jade. Qi Shaoan and Old Wei's faces flushed red with guilt. They had been so confident just now, they didn't expect Qin Baishan's judgment to be correct. Of course, no one doubted the veracity of Tang Jing's judgment. After all, he had calmed Li Hongqing down with a single finger. That alone was enough to stun them. Old Wei pondered for a moment before explaining. This blood jade and the three-legged bronze cauldron were both antiques from the same place. They were both antiques from thousands of years ago. However, Old Wei couldn't find out how useful this blood jade actually was. However, there was no doubt that the blood jade's color and luster were excellent. Hence, it was one of the Imperial Treasury's treasures. A few days ago, Qin Badian had specially made a trip to the Imperial Treasury to pick out his wife's birthday present. Coincidentally, this blood jade had caught his eye. Because Li Hongqing was a jade lover, Qin Badian didn't know much about antiques and jades. He only thought that this blood jade was very beautiful and thus bought it for his wife without hesitation. Li Hongqing also liked it very much. However, after wearing it for a few days, Li Hongqing fell into a semi-conscious state and eventually fell into a coma. Li Hongqing's body was usually very healthy. Qin Badian thought for a long time before suspecting that this blood jade was related to her health. He took the blood jade from his wife's body and tied it up high. He didn't expect his wife to wake up and find the blood jade and wear it on her chest. Then, was this blood jade used to be used for rituals? Tang Jing asked. Old Wei and Qi Shaoan looked at each other and shook their heads in unison. We don't know about that. What's wrong with this blood jade? Why is it fine when it's in our shop, but this happened when Mr. Qin bought it? Tang Jing already understood the reason. This blood jade was definitely related to rituals. Otherwise, it wouldn't have that kind of spiritual energy. However, this blood jade was obviously different from antiques like the bronze cauldron. This blood jade had indeed become like this after being soaked in fresh blood. Fresh blood represented slaughter. Hence, the spiritual energy contained in the jade was mixed with a lot of evil energy, causing the spiritual energy to become very aggressive. When the blood jade was in the Imperial Treasure House, it was placed very high, so of course, it would not affect people much. However, Li Hongqing liked the blood jade very much, so she always carried it with her. This spiritual power seeped into her body, which caused such a big reaction. Of course, he didn't explain this reason. After all, the things involved were too inconceivable. Thus, he said perfunctorily, I can be sure that her illness is related to this blood jade, but I can't say for sure. However, as long as she doesn't come into contact with the blood jade after she's cured, there won't be a problem. Qin Badian was a shrewd person. He instantly understood the perfunctory meaning in Tang Jing's words. However, he didn't think too much about it. As long as Tang Jing could cure his wife, everything else was insignificant. Old Wei apologized. Mr. Qin, I'm really sorry. I didn't know things would turn out like this. I've never encountered such a thing before. Qin Badian saw that Tang Jing had a close relationship with the other party. Although he was still a little angry, he didn't flare up. He said, no one knew about this beforehand, so I won't blame anyone. I only ask that Hongqing's illness be cured. Old Wei heaved a sigh of relief. If he didn't get Qin Baishan's forgiveness, then his imperial treasury would really come to an end. He couldn't help but look deeply at Tang Jing, unable to hide his gratitude. Seeing his old friend's expression, Qi Shaoan felt proud. After all, Tang Zheng was his disciple. Although he wasn't the one who taught his disciple, he was still very proud and happy that his disciple was so capable. Tang Zheng, when will the treatment begin? Qin Badian couldn't wait to ask. The few of them went to Li Hongqing's bedroom. She was like a baby sleeping soundly. Her face was peaceful, and there was no trace of the ferocious and terrifying look from before. You all go out first. I want to treat her alone. No matter what you hear, you are not allowed to come in without my permission. Tang Jing said in a low voice. A single man and a single woman in the same room. It was unavoidable that one's imagination would run wild. Qi Shaoan felt that it was inappropriate and was about to persuade him when Qin Badian said, "No problem. We'll go out right away. If you need anything, just call me. No one will disturb your treatment." Tang Jing nodded inwardly. "I'll stay and help." Suddenly Li Xiaotian said. Everyone looked at her in unison, but Li Xiaotian was looking seriously at Tang Zheng. Obviously she wanted to know more about Tang Zheng. She didn't want to let go of such a good opportunity. And during the treatment of Li Hongqing, it would definitely involve many secrets of the cultivators. Seeing her resolute expression, there was no room for negotiation. Tang Zheng hesitated for a moment before nodding. In any case, she knew his identity. It wouldn't be a problem for her to witness the treatment. Otherwise it would be troublesome if she really made a scene. The others naturally didn't have any objections. After a while they all retreated. Qin Badian stood guard not far from the door, not allowing anyone to disturb them. Chapter 341. The room quieted down. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng and asked, "What are you going to do now?" "Just watch, but don't make a fuss. What's the point of just breaking the skin?" Tang Zheng reminded him. Li Xiaotian pursed his lips and said, "Don't worry, I'm not a blabbermouth. I'd like to see what tricks you have up your sleeve." Tang Zheng walked to the front of the bed. Li Hongqing was a charming young woman in her 30s, which was the age when she was full of charm, but at this moment she was just a patient in Tang Zheng's eyes. Tang Zheng stooped down expressionlessly and pressed a few points on her body. Her eyes immediately opened, revealing a murderous aura. She screamed and sat up straight. She immediately threw herself at Tang Zheng, but Tang Zheng's palm landed on her head. Whoosh! Her face immediately turned a strange shade of red, and her body glowed red. The temperature in the room plummeted, sending chills down one's spine. Li Xiaoyan's eyes widened as he watched. He didn't know why there was such a huge reaction. How would Tang Zheng deal with it? Tang Zheng urged his power, and the true qi continuously flowed from the top of her head into his body as if he was suddenly enlightened. Li Hongqing's screams grew louder and louder as if she wanted to rip the roof off. Tang Zheng remained expressionless. Li Xiaotian wanted to stop him, but he remembered Tang Zheng's instructions and held himself back. Outside the room, Qin Badian was pacing back and forth. When he heard his wife's screams, his body trembled. He wanted to rush in and share her pain, but he held himself back and looked anxiously at the door. Old Wei and Qi Shaoan exchanged glances. Old Wei asked worriedly, "Old Qi, how much do you know about your disciple?" Qi Shaoan only knew that Tang Zheng was talented in archaeology, but knew nothing about other things. He shook his head resentfully. Old Wei glanced at Qin Badian and hesitantly asked, "Mr. Qin, what is the identity of this Tang Zheng?" Qin Badian halted his steps as he stared at the two of them in bewilderment. Tang Zheng stood out for them, yet they didn't know about Tang Zheng's identity. How strange. Of course, he was not one to casually judge others, so he did not reveal Tang Zheng's identity. He simply said, "In short, he is not an ordinary person." Old Wei understood the meaning behind Qin Badian's words. Even Qin Badian didn't dare to underestimate Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's identity was simply too mysterious. He sighed to Qi Shaoan, "Old Qi, you've really taken in a good disciple." Of course. Qi Shaoan was a little smug. Inside the bedroom the screams grew softer and softer. The red light on Li Hongqing's body grew brighter and brighter, but this didn't mean that her situation was getting worse. Instead, it meant that the red light was being forced out of her body. Tang Zheng continued to circulate his inner energy, slowly extracting the red light from her body. Suddenly Tang Zheng let out a low shout and slapped her back. Bang! With a muffled sound, Li Hongqing's body fell forward. With a whoosh, the red light left Li Hongqing's body and soared into the air, hovering above the ceiling. Li Hongqing closed her eyes and fell back into a deep sleep. Her expression was serene, without a trace of the ferocious expression she had just now. Li Xiaotian watched this scene in astonishment, especially when she saw the red light on the ceiling. She couldn't contain her excitement. It was impossible for a martial artist healing to appear like this. Only the world of cultivators could be so colorful. She couldn't help but exclaim, "I'm a little envious of you. This kind of supernatural power far surpasses that of a martial artist." Tang Jing didn't answer. Instead, he stared at the red light and thought to himself, "The blood jade has been absorbing spiritual energy for thousands of years to nourish this thing." This red light was a consciousness nourished by the blood jade's spiritual energy. In other words, the blood jade was about to become a spirit. However, even if it had become a spirit, it was still too vicious. It was definitely not a kind soul, which was why it harmed Li Hongqing. This thing can't be left alive. Moreover, I can increase my cultivation by absorbing this spiritual energy. Killing two birds with one stone. Why not? The red light seemed to have sensed the threat that Tang Jing posed to it. It hesitated on the roof, but the room's doors and windows were tightly shut. The red light had no chance of escaping. "What is this thing?" Li Xiaotian asked curiously. Tang Jing turned a deaf ear. Li Xiaotian pursed her lips and said, "Forget it if you don't want to tell me. How are you going to deal with it? I don't think it's a living thing. It won't be easy for you to destroy it." Tang Jing smiled mysteriously, then watched carefully. Tang Jing jumped and pounced on the red light. The red light moved quickly and retreated a few meters in the blink of an eye. However, in this narrow space, Tang Jing's movements were more agile. One retreating and one advancing, Tang Jing's figure was like a ghost. He forced the red light into a corner in a flash. Then he pounced on it with all his strength and grabbed at it with both hands. The red light tried to break out, but its strength was too weak. It was only a weak consciousness nourished by the blood jade. It relied on its instincts to do things. In fact, it was no match for a smart person like Tang Jing. Tang Jing's big hand completely blocked the red light's path of retreat. Then he grabbed the red light. The light originally did not have a physical body, but when Tang Jing grabbed it, it was unable to quickly break free. Tang Jing silently operated the Heart Sutra. His palm turned into a whirlpool. The airflow in the room changed rapidly and was constantly sucked into his palm. The red light wanted to escape, but Tang Jing's palm was like a black hole, making it unable to escape. Whoosh. When the last trace of red light disappeared, Tang Jing's face could not help but show a trace of red, but it immediately returned to normal. "How are you?" Li Xiaotian quickly asked. Tang Jing was silent. He sat cross-legged on the chair and closed his eyes. This red light contained a strong spiritual power. In an instant, it rushed into Tang Jing's dantian. He must immediately operate the ancient Clear Heaven Scroll and transform this spiritual power into true qi. So, he did not have time to explain to Li Xiaotian. Of course, he was not worried that Li Xiaotian would have any malicious actions towards him. His strength was not as good as Li Xiaotian's. If Li Xiaotian wanted to harm him, Li Xiaotian could do it at any time. There was no need to wait for him to cultivate. Seeing that Tang Jing did not say a word and seemed to be cultivating, Li Xiaotian curiously opened her eyes wide. She could guess that the red light was helpful to his cultivation, but she was not clear about the reason. "He seems to be very assured of me. He is not afraid that I will harm him," Li Xiaotian said in her heart. She also sat to the side and stared at Tang Jing. Little by little, the spiritual power was transformed into true qi. The true qi in his body rose steadily. It quickly crossed the threshold of the 6th grade foundation establishment and continued to rise. "The spiritual power in this blood jade is much richer than the spiritual power I absorbed before," Tang Jing secretly exclaimed. "Oh!" The air around his body quickly fluctuated, like a small whirlpool, stirring the surrounding air into chaos. Tang Jing refined the spiritual power while also absorbing the remaining spiritual power in the blood jade. He intended to refine all of the spiritual power in one go. This time his true qi was like a straight line that quickly rose up. After a while it broke through to 7 inches. He actually reached the 7th grade foundation establishment. Even he himself felt that it was inconceivable. The spiritual power in this blood jade was too abundant. But at this point all of the spiritual power had been refined by him. He opened his eyes and found that Li Xiaotian was squatting in front of him. His eyes were wide open as he stared at him. Tang Jing was startled and asked, "What are you doing? Why do I feel that your power has increased again?" Li Xiaotian couldn't see through Tang Jing's cultivation. This was just a kind of intuition. Tang Jing didn't deny it and said with a smile, "Is this a woman's sixth sense? But it feels very right." Li Xiaotian was bewildered and said, Could it be because you absorbed that red light? Seeing Tang Jing nod, Li Xiaotian sighed, cultivators are really a powerful existence. No wonder when cultivators and martial artists coexisted, cultivators were superior. You don't need to be afraid. Nowadays, the strength of martial artists can't be underestimated. For example, am I not your opponent now? Li Xiaotian curled his lips and said, don't think that I don't know about you. How many days have you been cultivating and how many years have I been practicing martial arts? There is simply no comparison. Tang Jing sighed. This two-faced woman really understood. With his speed, ordinary martial artists would definitely be unable to catch up. Even many cultivators would find it difficult to catch up. After all, he was the legendary Skywalker, a kind of abnormal cultivation genius. The more I know about cultivators, the more I feel that what the martial organization is doing is right. People like you are too dangerous. We must not let you grow stronger. Tang Jing was speechless. Was there a need to be so serious? I have to correct your point of view. Cultivators and martial artists are the same. They are all human. You don't have to decide whether we are suitable to survive in this world because this is our right. Tang Jing argued. Li Xiaotian smiled coldly and said, if I really fully agree with the martial organization, you would be dead by now. Why would I talk nonsense with you? Tang Jing shivered. Indeed, the situation was not too bad. How is she now? Li Xiaotian pointed at Li Hongqing and asked. She has already recovered. The main thing is that the red light controlled her body and mind, which is why this phenomenon occurred. And you can think of this as being possessed. Tang Jing found an easy-to-understand explanation. I forgot to tell you. This Qin Badian is not an ordinary person. You saved his wife. I think he will be deeply grateful to you in the future. Li Xiaotian grasped a lot of information. When he knew Qin Badian's name, he naturally remembered the information about him. Tang Jing did not feel much. He did not save people to ask for anything in return. Moreover, the Blood Jade's spiritual power had benefited him a lot. Other benefits were secondary. Li Hongqing suddenly moved and the two of them stopped talking. They looked at the bed together only to see Li Hongqing slowly wake up. When she saw Tang Jing, she couldn't help but exclaim, Hey Tang Jing, why are you in my house? Chapter 342. Tang Jing smiled and advised, don't move so quickly. Your body is very weak. I'll call Mr. Qin in. What's the point of breaking your skin? Tang Jing pushed open the door and said, you can come in now. Qin Badian rushed in like a gust of wind. When he saw his wife lying on the bed with her eyes open, he was pleasantly surprised and said excitedly, Hongqing, you've recovered. Li Hongqing looked at her husband suspiciously and asked, what happened to me? You don't remember? Li Hongqing was at a loss and said, I don't know what happened. Tang Jing explained, it's good that you don't remember. Rest well for a few days and you'll be fine. Qin Badian turned to Tang Jing and said, Tang Jing, I really don't know how to thank you. If you need anything in the future, I, Qin Badian, will do my best to help. Tang Jing smiled faintly and said, Mr. Qin, you're too kind. It's just a small matter. Li Hongqing was still at a loss, but it was obvious that Tang Jing had done something extraordinary to make her husband lose his composure. Qi Shaoan and Old Wei were completely relieved. Li Hongqing was saved and the Imperial Treasure House's reputation was saved. Mr. Qin, I'll return this blood jade to its rightful owner. Tang Jing spread out his hands and said. Qin Badian looked at the blood jade cautiously and didn't reach out to take it. He regretted buying this blood jade and letting his wife go through so much suffering. This thing. Qin Badian stuttered. Tang Jing knew what he was worried about and explained, this blood jade is no longer dangerous. Li Hongqing looked at the blood jade and said in surprise, isn't this the blood jade you gave me? Since Boss Li likes it so much, I'll return it to its rightful owner. Tang Jing had no use for the blood jade, so he directly handed it to Li Hongqing. Qin Badian wanted to refuse, but when he saw his wife's heartfelt joy, he swallowed his words. Since Tang Jing said that blood jade would not cause any more trouble, he was relieved. It's getting late, I'll get someone to prepare a meal. Today, I must drink with you to my heart's content. Qin Badian said in a heroic manner. Tang Jing waved his hand. No, Boss Li is still very weak. You should spend more time with her. I have to go back to school. Qin Badian tried to persuade them to stay, but seeing that the other party had already made up his mind, he didn't continue persuading them. Only after sending them out of the district did he stop. Tang Jing noticed that Qi Shaoan and Old Wei were looking at him strangely. It was as if they were trying to figure him out like a Xiao Bai rat. In the end, Qi Shaoan couldn't help but ask, Tang Jing, how did you become so capable? You even know how to heal people. Tang Jing smiled embarrassedly. I once learned a little from a country bum. Fur? If that's what you've learned, then the doctors in those hospitals are nothing. Qi Shaoan didn't believe him. Tang Zheng's skills were eye-opening. Old Wei was old and experienced, and he already knew that Tang Zheng was not an ordinary person. He wanted to be close to him, so he hurriedly smoothed things over and said, Old Qi, you don't need to care about these small details. For you to have taken in such a good disciple, it really is your fortune from 8 lifetimes. You should be happy. Qi Shaoan couldn't hide his joy. Of course I'm happy. Tang Zheng, this time you saved me from a disaster. If it weren't for you, I really don't know what would have happened. So I really don't know how to thank you. Old Wei said sincerely. Tang Zheng smiled. You're Professor Qi's good friend. This is what I should do. At such a young age, he was neither arrogant nor rash. His magnanimity was commendable. The 2 old men couldn't help but praise him. At noon, Old Wei treated them to a sumptuous lunch to express his gratitude. After that, Tang Zheng and the other 2 returned to Yanqing University. Qi Shaoan accepted his only disciple with satisfaction. He reminded Tang Zheng to study hard and then went back to his office happily. Tang Zheng went back to his dorm. Li Xiaotian couldn't enter the male dorm, so he wandered around the campus. When Tang Zheng returned to his dorm, the 3 of them stared at him as if he was a monster. Tang Zheng was puzzled. He asked, Why are you 3 looking at me like that? Third brother, are you going to let us live? What's wrong? Professor Qi pestered you to be his disciple. Is this true? Zhou Yin asked. Tang Zheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Don't make it sound so bad. What do you mean by pestering? Sinosaurus put his arm around Tang Zheng's shoulder and said enviously, TSK, don't think that we don't know what happened because we weren't there. That's right next to the archaeology department's building. So many archaeology students were watching. It's useless for you to deny it. Wang Shiji continued, I heard that Professor Qi wants you to study for a master's degree and a doctorate? You don't know how difficult it is to get a master's degree and a doctorate at Yanqing University. You can study for a master's degree and a doctorate without taking the exam. Many people are jealous. Zhou Yin laughed. What's the use of being jealous? This is our third brother's ability. Let them be jealous. By the way, this matter has spread throughout the archaeology department. Now you're a real badass. From the dean to every archaeology student, they all know your name, Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng was speechless. He did not want to be famous, so he hurriedly said, Keep a low profile, keep a low profile. If you want to keep a low profile, then treat us to a meal. You must use delicious food to shut our mouths. Otherwise, we will spread your embarrassing news outside and damage your glorious image. Sinosaurus laughed sinisterly. Wow, I couldn't ask for anything more. Tang Zheng said. Tang Zheng did not have absolute confidence to stop the 2. If one day the cultivators returned, what if a war broke out? Did he have the ability to completely protect the people around him? After careful consideration, the answer was obviously no. The only way for them to be protected in the war was to increase their strength. Of course, Tang Zheng was a cultivator. It was impossible for him to turn them into warriors. Wouldn't that be cultivating enemies for himself? However, the current situation was not clear. This world was still dominated by warriors. It was impossible to rashly turn them into cultivators, because it would only harm them. But he had to make preparations in advance. Otherwise, if he waited until the last minute, they could only be rookie cultivators at most. They would not be able to protect themselves. In addition, even though his grandfather had an extra 10 years of life, if he wanted to live longer, he couldn't stop here. The life-continuing pill wasn't a long-term solution. The most important thing was to change the old man's body and turn him into a cultivator. That was the final solution. In the past, Tang Zheng was wavering, but after experiencing more and more things, he gradually adapted to his identity as a cultivator and accepted it. However, all of this was easy to say but not so easy to do. He racked his brains, and studied the information in his mind countless times. Suddenly, a pill recipe appeared in his mind. This pill recipe was passed on to him by Tian Chanzi. It was called the Peiyuan pill. The function of the Peiyuan pill was to consolidate one's foundation and build a foundation for cultivation. It would subtly improve a person's physique, which would be more beneficial for cultivation. The Peiyuan pill was not very useful for people who had already become cultivators. It was most useful for people who wanted to become cultivators. This was because it was to build a foundation for them. Once their foundation was solid, they would be able to cultivate the corresponding techniques with half the effort. This is it. I want to refine the Peiyuan pill. Firstly, I want to consolidate my alchemy skills. Secondly, I want to prepare for a rainy day and make plans for the future of the people around me. The three people in room 502 were completely unaware that their life trajectory had undergone a huge change at this moment. Because of Tang Zheng's thoughts, they would embark on a completely different path. Chapter 343. The next day there was a small plate of peanut-sized snacks in room 502. Sinosaurus walked in and casually grabbed one and asked, "Third brother, what is this?" "A friend gave it to me as a specialty. Gaba's products are passed down," Tang Zheng casually said. "Specialty? Why does it taste like candy? Is it delicious?" "It's alright, try it," Tang Zheng suggested. Sinosaurus threw one into his mouth, but it did not melt in his mouth. Instead, it made crunching sounds as he chewed, but it was still very fragrant. Sinosaurus's eyes lit up. It's quite delicious." "Eat more if it's delicious." "That's right, remember to leave some for boss and fourth brother." Tang Zheng gave a knowing smile. Of course these were good things. These were all Peiyuan Dan that he refined, and the raw materials for the Peiyuan Dan did not require expensive medicinal ingredients, which was why he was able to refine them in such large quantities. Moreover, after the 9 revolving pill furnace was upgraded, refining pills was much faster. He could even refine pills in his Sumeru pouch, which was very convenient. These 100 origin cultivating pills were the result of his night's work. Origin cultivating pills were not like life-continuing pills or spirit-gathering pills. Origin cultivating pills could be eaten in large quantities at one time, so it did not cause any harm to the body. It was just like a small snack. Therefore Tang Zheng used such a crude method. He directly threw them in the room for everyone to eat as snacks. It could also be considered as testing the origin cultivating pill's medicinal properties. Tang Zheng silently observed Sinosaurus, who had eaten the origin cultivating pills. He found that there were not many abnormal changes in his body, so he was relieved. The origin cultivating pills had long-term effects. If there was a significant change after eating it once, Tang Zheng did not dare to give it to them in order to avoid others finding out. Zhou Yan and Wang Shiji also came back and shouted, "Second brother, what are you eating? Why are you eating so happily?" "Here, third brother's friend gave me a specialty. Don't say that I ate it alone, I left it all for you guys," Sinosaurus said. "Third brother is good, he didn't forget his brothers. Second brother, you were too ruthless last night ordering such expensive dishes," Wang Shiji complained. "Damn, I saw that you were eating the most enthusiastically, and you said that my food was expensive. Haha, third brother doesn't lack money. You won't be able to make him poor." Zhou laughed out loud. He casually threw a Peiyuan Dan into his mouth and said, I've never eaten this kind of snack before. It's delicious. Third brother, next time ask your friend to bring more. I'll pay for it. I don't have a lot, so I can't sell them. I can only go to him occasionally to get some as snacks for us," Tang Zheng said. "Sigh, what a pity. If this thing enters the market, its sales will definitely not be bad. We can make a fortune," Zhou Yan said. Tang Zheng smiled. This was a good thing for ordinary people. Not only could it improve one's physique, it could also prolong one's life. Tang Zheng could be generous to a few of his brothers, but he would not be so generous to others. Moreover, if this thing were to spread out, it would not be a good thing for him. For the next few days, Tang Zheng's life was very regular. During the day he went to class, but Li Xiaotian still followed him around like a burden. Yi Dingdong's pursuit of him was even more intense. Moreover, with Feng Xinyang's guidance, the relationship between the two became much closer. During this period, Tang Zheng and Feng Shishir video called several times, which made his roommates cry out that it was unfair. He actually had such a beautiful girlfriend abroad. Lu Qingmei was still looking for a new job. Xiao Bai accompanied her all day and did not encounter any danger. Qi Shaoan attached great importance to his apprentice. He dragged Tang Zheng to Panjiayuan a few more times and visited all the antique shops. He also explained his archaeological knowledge to Tang Zheng on the spot. Tang Zheng learned a lot, but it was a pity that he didn't come across any more antiques related to sacrificial rituals. On this day, Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian just came out of the teaching building after class when they saw Feng Xinyang walking toward them. Feng Xinyang looked serious and said in a deep voice, "Little handsome, hurry up and leave." Tang Zheng did not understand and asked, "Aunt Feng, what happened?" "The Wuzong people are here," Feng Xinyang said with some trepidation and glanced at Li Xiaotian next to her. "Who are they?" Li Xiaotian asked. Feng Xinyang shook her head. We don't know much about the Wu Zong, but according to reliable information, the Wu Zong people have already arrived in the capital. Tang Jing faintly smiled and said, If you want to come, then come, can I still hide? Besides, I am not the target of the Wu Zong. The martial organization must have come because of the devil god, but the devil god had already disappeared without a trace. There were no traces of him in the school, and it was said that the school had already informed Gao Daji's parents of his disappearance. Gao Daji's parents could be considered to be a rich and powerful family in Changheng City. They even came to the school to cause a ruckus, but in the end, it was hastily settled. Feng Xinyang wanted to say something but stopped. She glanced at Li Xiaotian and held back. She was worried that the ordinary balanced people would be exposed. After all, the Wu Zong people had died in their hands. Also, the Wu Zong people were not weak. She might not be a match for them. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Jing with a smile that was not a smile. It was as if he was saying that he was the target of the Wu Zong, yet he was still so calm. He was really brave. Tang Jing was not worried at all. He had already thought it through. Sooner or later he and the Wu Zong would have a conflict. Whether it was a blessing or a curse, he could not avoid it. He simply opened the door to welcome the guests. On the contrary, it seemed open and aboveboard. It would not arouse any suspicion. Before the few of them could say a few more words, they were attracted by the two people who were quickly walking over from the distance. This was because one of them was an old acquaintance, Marshall. However, this time, the most eye-catching person was not Marshall, but the old man beside her. This person walked like a dragon or a tiger. His strides were very big. His body was even a little uncoordinated. It was because his bones were abnormally big that he looked like he was fat. However, he was really not fat. The key was his aura. These experts could see that he was an expert. This person was definitely an expert. The people from the martial sect came so quickly. Feng Xinyang frowned and sighed. Li Xiaotian laughed and introduced in a low voice, This person is the third elder of the martial sect. He is a true great master expert. The Li Palace's intelligence network was very developed, so of course they had a good understanding of the martial sect. When Tang Jing and Feng Xinyang heard this, their hearts sank. It was no wonder that the large families did not dare to go against these mysterious organizations. The other party only had a third elder and he was already a martial scholar expert. Who knows how many more powerful people there were. This was not something that the large families could contend against. While they were talking, Wu and the third elder had already arrived in front of the three of them. Wu's injuries had already healed, and he looked at Tang Jing and Li Xiaotian with a complicated expression. This time, she was heavily injured by the demon god, causing the martial sect master to be furious. Thus, he directly sent the third elder to deal with this matter. Furthermore, he had secretly given her a new mission. Since the demon god had appeared in the capital, then maybe the cultivator who was good at using the divine bow in the valley would also appear. The sect master's order was to find this mysterious cultivator, and it was even more important than the mission of hunting demons. However, only Wu knew about this mission. Even the third elder did not know about it. Marshall was very curious. Just who was this mysterious cultivator, to actually make the sect master value him so highly? She couldn't help but remember the jade pendant hanging on that person's chest. The word Marshall on it was deeply imprinted in her mind, unable to be erased. That person is a cultivator. Why would he have something from the martial sect? Wu was puzzled and could only temporarily suppress the doubts in his heart. Seeing Tang Jing and Li Xiaotian standing together, Wu couldn't help but frown. Why were the two of them together? What exactly was Li Xiaotian trying to do? Wu and Li Xiaotian were the best of the younger generation in the three great organizations, and would occasionally be compared by the elders. Without a doubt, the two of them were rare martial arts geniuses, and it was said that in terms of strategy, Li Xiaotian was even better. You are Tang Jing? The third elder stared at Tang Jing and asked in a deep voice. Tang Jing nodded. I wonder what business do you have with me? Do you know the whereabouts of the demon god? The third elder went straight to the point. I don't know. The third elder's gaze was like lightning as he coldly snorted. Humph, you're not telling the truth, right? I have plenty of ways to make you speak. With that said, the third elder's big hand grabbed towards Tang Jing. His joints were thick as if he was made of steel. Tang Jing immediately retreated, his face darkening, and said, What are you doing? If I catch you, you will naturally speak the truth. The third elder said. Are you still being reasonable? I don't know the demon god, why are you so sure that I know his whereabouts? Tang Jing asked angrily. You have fought with the demon god, so you are suspicious. I suspect that the demon god has an accomplice, otherwise how could he quietly hide? Tang Jing rolled his eyes and said, Are you an idiot? If I was in cahoots with the demon god, would he still kill me? The third elder had never been scolded like this before. Immediately, his old face turned into the color of a pig's liver. He flew into a rage and said, You are courting death. A palm swept over, the wind from the palm was biting cold as if it wanted to blow people away. A tender shout sounded out as Feng Xinyang stood in front of Tang Jing to protect him without hesitation as she used the wind-fire blade. Bang! Feng Xinyang flew out and fell to the ground, spitting out blood. Tang Jing was shocked. The third elder was really ruthless. Even a Xiantian warrior like Feng Xinyang was injured like this. If he had taken that palm, who knew what would have happened? Immediately he was shocked and angry. He rushed over to help Feng Xinyang up and asked, Aunt Feng, how are you? Feng Xinyang's face was pale. She thought that a grandmaster was indeed not someone ordinary people could compete with. The other party obviously did not use his full strength just now, or she would have gone to see the King of Hell. However, the other party's unscrupulous attack made her angry. She also lost her temper. With the help of Tang Jing, she stood up and said, I'm not dead yet. Then she glared at the third elder and said, You old thing, you are so ruthless. Did Tang Jing provoke you? Are you going to kill him? Humph, martial arts sect. Everyone is afraid of your martial arts sect. Do you really think you are the king? You have the power to control the life and death of others. Bah, you really think highly of yourselves. Let me tell you, I am not afraid of you. If you want to deal with my son-in-law Tang Jing, you have to step over my dead body first. Chapter 344. When the few of them heard Feng Xinyang's string of curses, they were immediately stunned. Even Wu looked at Feng Xinyang in disbelief. Guba Tianzhuanji. Feng Xinyang's temper had always been fearless. Back then, she dared to contradict Yi Xuanji, but after coming to the capital, her fiery personality had been restrained a lot. However, deep down she was still the original Feng Xinyang. This time, the third elder's sudden attack had finally ignited this barrel of gunpowder. She couldn't care about anything else and first cursed. This time she had vented her anger. However, the third elder's face turned from red to green. It was as if he had changed his face. It was extremely terrifying. Li Xiaotian said with a smile that was not a smile, There's a good show to watch now. As expected, the third elder roared. His body was like a flood dragon as he attacked Feng Xinyang. He was determined to kill her in one strike. Aunt Feng, quickly retreat. Tang Jing leaped and blocked in front of Feng Xinyang. Because the opponent's fist intent enveloped him, it was impossible for him to escape unscathed. Therefore, Tang Jing could only step forward bravely to buy time for Feng Xinyang to retreat. Seeing Tang Jing risking his life to save her, Feng Xinyang shouted, Little handsome brother, move aside. However, Tang Jing had already gathered all the true qi in his body and poured it into his palm. When the fist and palm met, there was no heaven-shaking muffled sound. However, Tang Jing's cheeks instantly turned red and then turned pale. He was as white as a piece of white paper. His arm broke under this punch. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. He endured the pain and did not cry out. However, everyone could feel the pain that went deep into his heart. Moreover, the opponent's endless power was still seeping into his arm and reaching his heart. It was about to break his heart meridians. This third elder was indeed merciless. It was a killing move. Feeling the surging inner strength, a trace of despair flashed through Tang Jing's heart. Could it be that he was going to die like this? In the end, he still died at the hands of the martial sect. Whoosh! Tang Jing's palm produced a huge attractive force, and the inner strength disappeared without a trace, as if it had never appeared. The third elder turned pale with fright. What was going on? How did his inner strength disappear? He hurriedly withdrew his fist and retreated, looking at Tang Jing in disbelief. The others did not know the details and also looked at Tang Jing in surprise. After all, everyone had witnessed the power of the punch just now. However, Tang Jing had only lost an arm, and his foundation had not been injured. This was too unbelievable. Tang Jing was also very surprised, but he immediately understood what was going on. This was the effect of the sky-devouring technique. He had snatched the devil race's cultivation method from Takashi's hands. On a whim, he had cultivated the heaven-devouring technique. Back then, the heaven-devouring technique had sucked away a few chairs and disappeared. He had once fantasized about being able to suck away the enemy and make them disappear. He did not expect that the heaven-devouring technique would automatically activate this time. However, it did not suck away the enemy. Instead, it sucked away the enemy's inner strength, saving Tang Zheng's life. However, this was also an unexpected surprise. He suppressed the joy in his heart and looked at his arm. He immediately frowned. The bones in his arm were all shattered. This time he had suffered greatly. Feng Xinyang seemed to have woken up from a dream and hurriedly asked, "Tang Zheng, your arm is broken. Do you have any other injuries?" Tang Zheng shook his head, took a deep breath and said, "Aunt Feng, I'm fine." Feng Xinyang was still afraid and rebuked, "Why are you so unafraid of death? You actually don't care about your own life." Tang Zheng forced out a smile and said, "I'm lucky. I won't die." Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. She knew that it was some mysterious cultivator's cultivation technique that had played a role. She was immediately horrified. Cultivators are really heaven-defying existences. "Brat, where did you come from? Why can you still stand after taking my punch?" The third elder had always been very confident in his ability, but this time, it was completely beyond his expectations. Tang Zheng let out a cold laugh but did not comment. "Humph, I have a way even if you don't say it. Then take another punch of mine." The third elder fiercely pounced like a tiger and arrived in front of Tang Zheng. His huge fist rushed out like lightning. Tang Zheng hurriedly raised his other intact arm and used the heaven-devouring technique. Suddenly, an invisible vortex appeared in his palm. When the third elder's fist came into contact with his palm, the inner strength that gushed out was absorbed by the vortex. Tang Zheng was not injured at all. He couldn't help but look at the heaven-devouring technique in a new light. Originally he thought it was just a chicken rib. He didn't expect it to have such a great effect. It could actually devour the enemy's inner strength. After the third elder hit Tang Zheng, he found that it was as if he had hit a ball of cotton. It was soft and the inner strength that gushed out disappeared without a trace. "What the hell?" The third elder shouted and quickly withdrew his fist. However, an iron fan appeared in his hand and he pointed it at Tang Zheng's chest. Tang Zheng quickly retreated. The other party wanted to shake him with his inner strength. He could use the heaven-devouring technique to deal with it, but the other party used a weapon, so the heaven-devouring technique was useless. "Humph, you want to escape." The third elder's heart was set. Although he didn't know what trick the other party had, it was obviously only effective against his fist technique. Against a weapon he could only flee. Seeing that Tang Zheng was not a match for him, Feng Xinyang immediately rushed forward to rescue him, but the two of them were at a disadvantage against the third elder, and were in a dangerous situation. Li Xiaotian crossed her arms. She did not have any plans to make a move, she just wanted to see what else Tang Zheng was hiding, and furthermore she wanted to force Tang Zheng to use the heaven-shocking bow, so that she could take the opportunity to snatch it away. Even though she and Tang Zheng were usually at peace, her goal was still to snatch the heaven-shocking bow. But Tang Zheng would not say anything even if she was beaten to death, so she had no choice. Now that he was in a desperate situation, she did not believe that he would still hide anything. Tang Zheng glanced at Li Xiaotian, but did not ask her to make a move like last time. He already understood Li Xiaotian quite well. She was a black-bellied girl. If she met other experts she would still help, but the other party was the third elder of the martial sect, and a great master expert. She would definitely not interfere. Sure enough, Li Xiaotian remained indifferent. This was the campus of Yenqing University, so this kind of fight immediately attracted attention. Someone shouted, "Someone is fighting, damn, an expert, is this a movie? Where is the wire? How did this person jump so high?" Everyone surrounded him as if they were watching a good show, completely unaware of how dangerous this was. Not long later the school security guard also arrived. He waved the rubber stick in his hand and shouted, "What are you doing? Quickly stop." However, the third elder turned a deaf ear to him and shouted, "You two die." The attacks became more and more intense, and the two of them almost couldn't hold on any longer. "Aunt Feng, let's leave this place quickly," Tang Jing shouted. Feng Xinyang nodded. There were too many people here. If they continued to fight, it would definitely cause trouble. Tang Jing leaped out of the crowd and shouted, "If you have the guts, come and catch me." Then he used the earth-shrinking technique and flew forward. "Brat, when I catch you, I will definitely tear you to pieces." How could the third elder just watch Tang Jing slip away under his nose? He jumped up and chased after him. The other three people also quickly disappeared, leaving behind a group of stunned spectators. Damn, I was so engrossed in watching that I actually forgot to take a video. A person patted his head and said regretfully, "Haha, I didn't forget, I recorded it, I'm going to put it on the internet." This is too explosive, who said that Wuxia martial arts were all flowery and impractical. This is the real Chinese martial arts. Someone praised. Others say that Chinese martial arts are not only for strengthening the body, but also for killing people. Did you guys feel the killing intent just now? Wow, if you didn't mention it, I would have overlooked it. Just now, I really did feel a kind of heart-palpitating feeling. I thought it was just an illusion, so it was the aura of an expert. Hurry up, put it on the internet, this video will definitely go viral. A moment later, a video and many photos appeared on the internet, and then an overwhelming number of reposts and comments appeared. Many people were shocked, but many people scoffed, thinking that this was all made by computer special effects or some crew was shooting a movie. It was all fake. But of course there are many people who believe that this is true, and say that this is the martial arts of Wuxia, and the two groups of people immediately confronted each other and launched a fierce discussion. Originally these years the debate about martial arts has been very fierce, and the country has also hosted some martial arts competitions, but those are really flowery and impractical. A group of sect leaders and disciples fighting in front of the camera, but they are soft and have no sense of strength at all, and are laughed at by many people. Some people who originally held a neutral attitude immediately joined the ranks of rejecting martial arts, thinking that the legends of leaping over eaves and vaulting over walls are deliberately exaggerated by some people. In fact, there is no martial arts at all. Wuxia's martial arts are in such an awkward position. Although it is called Chinese martial arts, in fact, it has declined in China. Many of the so-called famous sects are flowery and impractical, and martial arts have become dancing skills, which look very beautiful, but the actual combat is very poor. This is very different from Taekwondo, Muay Thai, Western fighting skills, Aikido, and so on, which are vigorously promoted by the power of the country abroad. These foreign fighting skills are very popular in Wuxia, making a lot of money and winning a lot of reputation. Many people have criticized Wuxia countless times, thinking that the foreign martial arts are the best, and their own martial arts are the dregs, and they are abandoned like worn-out shoes. This video shocked many people who believe in Wuxia's martial arts, and immediately had real evidence to fight back. But soon, some of the so-called famous sects jumped out and said that these are all fake, that they are all movie special effects, and that it is impossible for such martial arts to exist in the world. This is another blockbuster, and even the people in the martial arts world said so. Then, everyone is one-sided in criticizing Chinese martial arts, thinking that this is a hype by some people with ulterior motives. This made many people who believed in martial arts very hurt. The two groups of people fought back and forth on the internet. However, the laymen enjoyed the show while the experts enjoyed the skill. This video quickly spread abroad and into the eyes of some experts, causing many unexpected reactions. Chapter 345. Of course, Tang Zheng and the others did not know that their battle video would cause such a huge reaction on the internet. Tang Zheng was currently rushing towards the imperial city. Name Ai-O and Su. Since the third elder was a grandmaster stage expert and he was no match for him, then he would let those who could deal with him take care of him. His movement technique was very fast, using the earth shrinking technique. Furthermore, he was obviously much more familiar with the roads in the capital than the third elder, so he left the third elder behind. The other three people followed behind as well, their speed a step slower than the third elders. They were overwhelmed with shock. This Tang Zheng's speed was truly monstrous, to think that he was actually so fast. The few of them were too fast, and even the pedestrians on the road did not notice anything amiss. They rushed over like a whirlwind. Whiz! Tang Zheng leaped up, flipped over the tall city walls of the imperial city, and jumped in, while the others followed suit and entered the imperial city. The imperial city was also known as the Forbidden City, and there were many tourists. Tang Zheng instantly disappeared into the vast sea of people. The third elder looked around, but he actually could not find Tang Zheng's figure. Brat, let's see where you can hide. Relying on his movement technique speed, the third elder also disappeared into the sea of people, constantly searching for Tang Zheng's whereabouts. The other three were a step too late, and discovered that the two of them had already disappeared from their field of vision. No matter how hard they tried, they could not find them. Feng Xinyang was the most anxious. Tang Zheng was far from being a match for the third elder. If the third elder caught up to him without any help, he would definitely die. Li Xiaotian frowned and muttered, Tang Zheng, you must not die. Even if you want to die, you have to return my heaven-shocking bow to me. Wu's expression was the most complicated. She did not expect the third elder to directly take action and even disappear without a trace. She did not have absolute confidence in the success of this mission. However, the three of them did not sit still and wait for death. They quickly disappeared into the crowd, searching for the whereabouts of the two of them. Tang Jing didn't really run away. Instead, he led the third elder towards a large hall. A moment later, the two of them arrived at their destination. The third elder raised his head and looked around, but found that there were people in all directions. It was so crowded that not even a drop of water could trickle through. This imperial city was indeed one of the most lively scenic spots in the capital. The flow of people was too great, it was simply a sea of people. "Brat, where are you hiding? Just now, I clearly saw him escape into this great hall." The third elder muttered. "Hey, are you looking for me?" Suddenly, a hand rested on the third elder's shoulder. The third elder was shocked and immediately turned his head. In front of him was Tang Jing. "Brat, you're courting death." The third elder flew into a rage. Just as he was about to attack, he discovered that the surrounding scenery had changed. The sea of people had completely disappeared. What was going on? The third elder turned pale with fright. For a moment he actually didn't understand what had happened. When he saw the bare stone walls around him, he realized that the situation was somewhat beyond his imagination. He looked at Tang Jing in shock and asked, "What did you do? Why are we suddenly here? What the hell is this place?" Tang Jing took a few steps back and laughed. "Didn't you want to kill me? There are no outsiders here, wouldn't that make it easier for you to do what you want? I'm asking you how you did it. In the blink of an eye, why are we here?" The third elder asked with a murderous aura. "Isn't your martial sect specialized in hunting cultivators? How come you don't even know the abilities of cultivators?" Tang Jing sneered. The third elder's eyes immediately widened as he exclaimed, "You are a cultivator." Tang Jing did not answer, but waved his hands in the air, and the heaven-shocking bow appeared in his hands. Seeing Tang Jing's move, how could the third elder not understand Tang Jing's identity? He suddenly realized, "You are the mysterious cultivator that appeared in the valley." Tang Jing laughed coldly. "Your martial sect really can't forget me, you must really want to kill me. Of course, the martial sect wants to kill all the cultivators in the world and you are no exception. You have worn out iron shoes in vain and found it without any effort. Brat, you are courting death, I don't need to spend so much effort to find you." The third elder pointed the iron fan in his hand in the air, and a huge wave of energy quickly attacked Tang Jing. Tang Jing's expression became serious, he pulled the bowstring and with a buzzing sound the bowstring vibrated, and an invisible arrow shot towards his opponent. Immediately the two of them, one bow and one fan, were locked in a fierce battle. The air currents in the tunnel collided with each other, producing muffled sounds. However, the outside world could not hear anything at all. In addition, it was unknown how this tunnel was built, but it was actually incomparably sturdy. It was not damaged in the slightest during the battle between the two of them. With the help of the heaven-shocking bow, Tang Jing could even kill a pre-celestial stage martial artist. His strength had increased greatly, and he had purposely opened up the distance between them. However, the third elder was not to be trifled with. After all, the cultivation of the first stage of the Grandmaster stage was much higher than that of Tang Jing. After exchanging dozens of blows, the third elder had also figured out Tang Jing's path. He thought to himself that this brat's cultivation was not that high, but the key was that the divine bow in his hand was strange and incomparably powerful. "Brat, use whatever other abilities you have. I haven't personally hunted a cultivator for so many years. Today, I will use you as a sacrifice to my iron fan." The third elder roared and pounced forward. With a swoosh, the iron fan opened up and blocked the invisible arrow. Then, with a wave of the iron fan, whoosh whoosh whoosh, several cold lights shot out from the iron fan. Tang Jing dodged the hidden weapon with a somersault, shot out an arrow with the back of his hand and quickly retreated. "Brat, don't run." The third elder roared and chased after him as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, the two of them passed through the long tunnel, and the light in front of them suddenly increased. The third elder squinted his eyes, and saw that Tang Jing had stopped in his tracks, and was looking at him with a smile that was not a smile. The third elder proudly shouted, "Brat, you have no way to escape, right?" Tang Jing laughed. "Who said I was going to escape?" The third elder's heart trembled. He did not know what Tang Jing was planning, but he thought to himself that he was much stronger than the other party, so he was not afraid of him playing any tricks. The third elder walked towards Tang Jing step by step, and Tang Jing slowly retreated into a spacious hall. Not long later, the third elder also walked into the hall. His eyes suddenly lit up and a golden light flashed. He subconsciously used his hand to cover his eyes, and only when he got used to the golden light did he slowly move his hand away. Immediately, his mouth opened wide and his eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. A huge body was imprinted in his pupils, a five-clawed golden dragon shining with golden light. Was this a dream? Or was this a sculpture? But it was too realistic, so vivid that it seemed like it could pounce at any time. Moreover, the dragon's might made people have an impulse to submit. Tang Jing retreated to the side of the five-clawed golden dragon, looked at the dumbfounded third elder and said, "How is the scenery here?" The third elder swallowed a mouthful of saliva before coming back to his senses, but his eyes were still unable to move away from the dragon's body. He trembled as he said, "This? How could there be this? Golden dragon, come and say hello to this guest." Tang Jing waved his hand at the five-clawed golden dragon and said, "Whoosh." The five-clawed golden dragon snorted in disdain. Dragons were very proud creatures, and although the third elder was high and mighty in front of ordinary people, he was like an ant in front of the five-clawed golden dragon. "It's alive, this dragon is really alive." A voice roared in the third elder's heart. This was not a sculpture but a real dragon, a dragon from the legends. His face turned pale in an instant and his legs trembled. He had the urge to run away. There were too many legends about dragons, and this kind of creature had too many mysterious abilities. It was not something that ordinary people or even ordinary warriors could provoke. Even cultivators were afraid of this kind of creature, let alone him. But the key point was, why would a dragon appear here, and where was this place, and where did this dragon come from? Seeing Tang Jing standing beside the five-clawed golden dragon, he was shocked. No wonder this brat was so confident he had the help of a golden dragon. He did not know how Tang Jing got together with the golden dragon, but no matter what, this time he was in big trouble, big trouble. Seeing the third elder's expression, Tang Jing had already guessed the other party's thoughts and said, "Don't you want to kill cultivators? This golden dragon is also a creature that only exists in the world of cultivators. If you have the ability, then kill it first. Otherwise, don't shout about hunting cultivators all day." Dragon Slayer? Don't joke, that was only a legend, and he had never seen anyone kill a dragon in real life. Even the person who trapped the five-clawed golden dragon here could not kill it, and could only imprison it. The third elder's mouth was bitter, and he was so dry that he could not speak. After a while he said, "Tang Jing, what do you want? You want to kill me? What do you think I will do?" Tang Jing's face sank as he asked with a frosty expression, "You want to kill me? Kill me, the martial organization will not let you go." The third elder threatened. Tang Jing shrugged indifferently and said, "Your martial organization will not let me go anyway. Moreover, who will know that I killed you? How can I kill you with my cultivation?" That's right, outsiders would definitely not believe that Tang Jing had the strength to kill the third elder. After all, the difference in their cultivation was too great. "Don't worry, your martial organization will not discover this place, so even if you die, no one will find out," Tang Jing said. "Where is this?" "Under the Imperial City. If you don't know how to control the formation, you will definitely not be able to come here." The Imperial City? I never thought that there would be a dragon hiding under the Imperial City. Tang Jing sneered and patted the golden dragon. "It's time for you to show your skills." The five-clawed golden dragon disdainfully said, "This kind of ant is not worthy of me making a move." The third elder was called an ant by the golden dragon, but he had no way to refute it. Moreover, the golden dragon spoke in human language, which made him even more shocked. "A mosquito is still meat. Moreover, if you don't kill him, are you going to let him starve to death here? That's too cruel." "Humph, if it weren't for the fact that you are a celestial, I would be too lazy to make a move." The five-clawed golden dragon compromised. It seemed that it was rather afraid of Tang Jing's identity as a celestial. The third elder did not know what a celestial was, but seeing that the five-clawed golden dragon seemed to be rather afraid of Tang Jing, his mind became blank. Chapter 346. Seeing the five-clawed golden dragon's huge head crouching down, the third elder screamed and turned to run. He was not stupid and knew that he was not the golden dragon's opponent. Running away was the most effective way. Name-io and Susei, but where was this place? This was the five-clawed golden dragon's territory. The dragon opened its mouth and a whirlwind soared into the sky and directly swept the third elder back. The third elder fell to the ground in a sorry state. Since he could not run away, he could only resist. He clenched his teeth and waved his iron fan. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The five-clawed golden dragon did not dodge at all. Instead, its eyes were full of contempt. Ding, ding, ding. The hidden weapons all hit the five-clawed golden dragon's golden scales and splashed out sparks. However, the five-clawed golden dragon was not injured at all. Seeing this, the third elder's face was filled with despair. He leaped up and pointed his iron fan at the scales of the five-clawed golden dragon. Sparks flew in all directions and a huge rebound force caused his arm to tremble. The iron fan flew out of his hand. The difference between the two sides was too obvious. Moreover, the third elder was almost scared out of his wits and did not have much strength to resist. Seeing this, Tang Jing could not help but sigh. This kind of creature was really too heaven-defying. It actually had such a powerful strength. He wondered who imprisoned him here. The third elder did not have a weapon and his strength was greatly reduced. The five-clawed golden dragon did not bother to continue playing with him. The dragon opened its mouth and bit the third elder. The third elder quickly jumped up to escape. However, the five-clawed golden dragon was much faster than him. Under the dragon's power, the third elder's heart trembled and there was a kind of fear that came from the bottom of his soul. Crack. The sound of bones cracking could be heard as the sharp dragon teeth bit into the third elder's body. The third elder let out a heart-wrenching scream as he stared in horror at the huge monster in front of him. Let me go, don't kill me. The third elder screamed loudly. However, the five-clawed golden dragon's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. It raised its head, and the third elder's figure disappeared from its mouth. Then, with a gulp, the third elder was swallowed into the fifth claw's stomach. Tang Jing also looked at this scene with some surprise. He didn't expect the five-clawed golden dragon to swallow him in one gulp. This was the real definition of being swallowed alive. The five-clawed golden dragon swallowed the third elder as if nothing had happened. Skywalker, why didn't Xiao Bai come to accompany me these past few days? These two mystical beasts seem to have formed a deep friendship. During this period of time, Xiao Bai was by Lu Qingmei's side, which made the five-clawed golden dragon rather dissatisfied. It has its own things to do. Bring it back to play with me as soon as possible. The five-clawed golden dragon said discontentedly. Tang Jing made an sound, curiously looked at its stomach and asked, "You ate him, will you be okay?" The five-clawed golden dragon said disdainfully, "What can happen?" Tang Jing hurriedly said that it was okay. Skywalker, it seems that you have provoked a big trouble. Don't be killed before you can let me out. Tang Jing had an idea and said, "That's not necessarily true." "What, didn't you promise me that you would let me out?" Tang Jing provoked the martial organization this time. He didn't know how the martial organization would deal with it, but there was no doubt that he would have a lot of trouble in the future. The five-clawed golden dragon was so powerful, he didn't know what kind of special skills they had, so his mind became active. "I did promise you, but if I die in the hands of others first, then I can't fulfill the agreement," Tang Jing said. The five-clawed golden dragon muttered, "That seems to make sense. No, you are too weak. I have to let you live, otherwise I won't be able to escape." Tang Jing was overjoyed, but on the surface he said, "Oh, what can you do?" The five-clawed golden dragon proudly said, "I am a dragon, of course I have a way to let you live. I will teach you a dragon's cultivation technique." Dragon's cultivation technique? Tang Jing was shocked. Of course, this cultivation technique is called the Dragon God's secret art. There are a total of 9 layers, and it is my dragon's supreme secret art. As long as you train hard, it will definitely increase your cultivation faster. The five-clawed golden dragon said solemnly. Tang Jing was overjoyed and said, "Then I will thank you." "Don't just thank me. Remember our agreement." The five-clawed golden dragon reminded him, then he raised his dragon claw and gently tapped on Tang Jing's forehead. Boom. A thunderous sound rang out in Tang Jing's mind, as if something had exploded. A golden light danced in the air, and then intertwined to form a passage of words. This was the cultivation method of the Dragon God's secret art. There were only a few thousand words, but it was incomparably profound. The opening was even more profound than the ancient Clear Heaven scroll. As for what realm you will be able to reach, that will depend on your luck, the five-clawed golden dragon said. Tang Jing nodded. He read word by word and began to study it. He began to cultivate according to the method. A moment later, a trace of hot air began to circulate in his body. This hot air was completely different from ordinary Jin Qi. It seemed that the power was much purer, and it flowed side by side with Jin Qi. But this airflow was still too weak. It was not conspicuous compared to Jin Qi. The physique of a celestial is indeed precious. You actually have a sense of Qi so quickly. The five-clawed golden dragon praised. Tang Zheng was overjoyed. He was not in a hurry to continue cultivating. After bidding farewell to the five-clawed golden dragon, he once again returned to the main hall. At this moment it was close to evening, and the crowd of tourists were gradually leaving. Tang Zheng mixed in with the crowd and found Feng Xinyang. Feng Xinyang's face was filled with anxiety, but seeing Tang Zheng safe and sound, she could not help but let out a breath of relief and hurriedly asked, "Tang Zheng, how are you? Are you okay?" Tang Zheng shook his head. Only his right arm was broken, and when he pulled the heaven-shocking bow, he had to endure the pain. Now that he had relaxed, he also felt a bone-piercing pain. "Where's that martial sect elder? Let's leave this place first." "Right, let's leave first. The old man is already rushing over here. Since you're safe and sound, let's go meet up with him." Tang Zheng was a little surprised. He never thought that Yi Xuanji would actually rush over to save him. Perhaps his relationship with the Ye family was getting tighter and tighter, causing Yi Xuanji to have no choice but to pay more and more attention to him. The two of them got rid of Wu and Li Xiaotian and left the imperial city. Then they met up with Yi Xuanji and Yi Tianlei. When the two of them met, Yi Xuanji asked impatiently, "Where are the people from the martial sect?" "Dead," Tang Zheng said calmly. "Dead." The few of them were shocked. The other party was a grandmaster martial artist. How could he die? They all looked at Tang Zheng at the same time. Of course, Tang Zheng would not go into detail. He only said that the martial sect elder had died, and that no one would find his corpse. Furthermore, no one would personally see the martial sect elder die at his hands. Feng Xinyang had a stomach full of questions. Even though Tang Zheng had killed the martial organization elder, there was no movement at all. This was too inconceivable. After all, if the two of them were to engage in an intense battle, they would definitely not be able to escape the detection of Feng Xinyang, Wu and the rest. However, it was obvious that there were no signs of fighting in the imperial city. How did he do this? Even though she was extremely smart, she could not imagine that Tang Zheng had used an array formation to quietly bring the martial sect elder into the underground of the imperial city. Furthermore, there were too many tourists at that time, so no one noticed that two people had suddenly disappeared. Seeing that Tang Zheng was unwilling to speak in detail, the few of them could not force him. They were only shocked in their hearts, but they also felt that the situation was even more troublesome. The martial sect elder was not an ordinary person. His death would definitely cause a huge uproar, and would probably attract the revenge of the martial sect. This would be a disaster for the Ye family. Yi Xuanji looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated gaze. At that time he was able to rope him in, but in the future he did not know whether it would be a blessing or a curse. Tang Zheng glanced at Yi Xuanji and saw his hesitation. He said without batting an eyelid, "I'll return to the school first. If the martial sect people come looking for you, you can push the responsibility onto me." Before Yi Xuanji could say anything, Feng Xinyang and Yi Tianlei had already retorted at the same time. "How can that be? You and the Ye family are one. How can we abandon you just because a disaster is about to befall us?" Pausing, Feng Xinyang clenched her teeth and said, "Little handsome brother, no matter what the martial sect wants to do, we will accompany them to the end. Everyone else is afraid of the martial sect, but I am not. At most, we will see just how powerful they are." Feng Xinyang was not afraid of the heavens or the earth. Moreover, Tang Zheng was injured in order to save her, so with her personality, how could she leave him alone? Furthermore, he was her chosen son-in-law, so it was impossible for her to not save him. Yi Tianlei looked at the old man. He understood his father's difficulties, but towards Tang Zheng, he had no reason to back down. He said resolutely, "Tang Zheng, your Aunt Feng is right. We will advance and retreat together. If the martial sect really wants to punish us, at most we will fight to the death." Tang Zheng was moved. Facing the martial sect that other families did not dare to provoke, for the two of them to express their stance was already very commendable. Yi Xuanji, who had been silent all this while, raised his head and burst out with a shout, "Nonsense, what's the benefit of going against a martial ancestor? Don't look at how strong the Ye family is. If we really angered the martial sect, it would be a disaster for our family." The few of them were speechless. Yi Xuanji continued, "Moreover, there is no need to fight to the death. No one saw the death of the martial sect elder. As long as we keep our mouths shut, even if they have suspicions, they will not have any evidence. Although the martial sect is strong, they have to be reasonable. If they do not have any evidence, they will not be able to destroy the Ye family." Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang heard this and were overjoyed. They did not give up on Tang Zheng. This meant that Tang Zheng's position in their hearts had been consolidated. Tang Zheng looked at Yi Xuanji in astonishment. All along he did not have a good impression of Yi Xuanji. Yi Xuanji's considerations were too focused on the gains and losses of benefits. This time he actually supported him. However, he had to admit that the older the ginger, the spicier. Yi Xuanji's words were very reasonable. Although the martial sect was a large organization and could kill cultivators without fear, and was a great threat to the large families, if the other party wanted to destroy the Ye family without any evidence, it would definitely cause the other families to panic. It would cause them to dislike the martial sect, and the martial sect's prestige would fall to the ground. After understanding the details, everyone temporarily put their hearts back into their stomachs. Tang Zheng was brought back to the Ye family to heal. Just as night fell, the Ye family welcomed an uninvited guest. Chapter 347. These uninvited guests were Wu and Li Xiaotian. The two of them searched the imperial city several times but were unable to find Tang Zheng and the third elder. In the end, even Feng Xinyang disappeared without a trace. Nei Maio and Su Se, the two of them gradually realized that the situation had changed, so they came to the Ye family at the same time. When the two of them saw the bandaged Tang Zheng and Feng Xinyang, their expressions were completely different. Li Xiaotian was in disbelief, while Wu's face was even gloomier. "Where's the third elder?" Wu went straight to the point. Tang Zheng pretended to be at a loss and said, "I don't know either." "You don't know?" Wu's eyes narrowed. She was about the same height as Tang Zheng. Her eyes were like lightning, but Tang Zheng acted as if he did not feel anything and looked at her calmly. "The third elder is missing. I can't contact him, but you dare say you don't know?" Wu aggressively questioned. "Why should I know? He wanted to kill me, so I took advantage of the crowd to slip away. Is there a problem with that?" Tang Zheng calmly asked. Wu looked at him suspiciously. In her impression, Tang Zheng was still stuck in the military training. Later on, she found out that he had a great Master Realm Master and that he was not weak. As a result, her disgust for Tang Zheng became even stronger. Previously, when the third elder made a move against Tang Zheng, she did not stop him. For those who dared to deceive her, it was already benevolent of her not to kill them with her own hands. The third elder is a great Master Realm martial artist. How could you slip away under his nose? Furthermore, the third elder has mysteriously disappeared. Hearing that, Feng Xinyang could not help but retort, "What do you mean by that? Don't tell me that if that old man wants to kill us, we have to stretch out our necks for him to chop off?" Wu glanced at Feng Xinyang and coldly said, "In short, this matter is very strange. You can't get away with it. As long as I don't find the third elder, I won't let him off." Feng Xinyang flew into a rage. "What do you mean? Do you want to kill someone?" "I'll say the same thing again. Don't think that you martial arts sect people are the heavenly king and can kill others. If you want to touch Tang Zheng, you'll have to step over my Feng Xinyang's corpse." Marshall did not comment. She looked at Yi Xuanji and asked, "Does the Ye family want to be enemies with the martial organization?" Yi Xuanji was also a little angry in his heart. After all, he was the head of a family and a master-level expert. How could he be threatened by a Xiantian realm martial artist like this? He forcefully suppressed his anger and indifferently said, "Tang Zheng is the Yi clan's future son-in-law. You guys want to kill him for no reason. This is something that doesn't make sense." Hearing the song, Marshall and Li Xiaotian immediately understood that the Ye family wanted to support Tang Zheng. The two of them understood the reverence the big families had for the three big organizations. This time, the Ye family actually dared to go against the martial organization. This was truly unexpected. Li Xiaotian's eyes narrowed into a thin line. He thought that this play was getting more and more interesting. The decision to come to the capital was really too wise. Marshall's eyes turned cold and said, "All right, I will remember your words. Since that is the case, then wait for our sect master to come and talk to you." Marshall left in a huff. She understood that since the Ye family wanted to support Tang Zheng, it was useless for her to stay. After all, she was not Yi Xuanji's opponent. However, Li Xiaotian stayed behind and looked at Tang Zheng with a smile that was not a smile. However, Tang Zheng acted as if he did not see it. This woman did not care about his life and death earlier, and probably wished for him to die. Yi Xuanji did not have any enmity towards Li Xiaotian. Now that he had offended the martial organization, he could not wait to rope in the Li Palace. Thus, he stood up from his chair and walked to Li Xiaotian's side and said, "Holy maiden, you have been in the capital for some time now. This Yi has not done his duty as a host yet. Why don't you stay for dinner?" Facing Yi Xuanji's invitation, Li Xiaotian agreed with a smile. Yi Xuanji was secretly happy. Although he did not understand the relationship between Li Xiaotian and Tang Jing, as long as she was willing to accept his goodwill, it would be the first step to success. The banquet was sumptuous and the host and guests enjoyed themselves. What did you do to the martial organization, elder? Tang Jing and Li Xiaotian stood in the garden, admiring the fresh flowers while Li Xiaotian pretended to casually ask. Tang Jing stared at the fresh flowers under the night sky, as if there was a bit of flirtatious beauty, and calmly said, "What can I do to him? If you are a cultivator. Cultivators have many mysterious methods, and it is said that they are very powerful. Could it be that you killed him?" Tang Jing's heart thumped. This two-faced woman's intuition was really accurate. However, on the surface he did not have the slightest flaw and said, "Don't joke around. He is a master-level expert. I can't even beat you, how can I kill him? Maybe she thinks that a small shrimp like me is insignificant and leaves on her own." "You are insignificant? Why don't I think so? Tell me, if I tell your identity to the martial organization, will you become very important?" Li Xiaotian asked with a smile. Tang Jing felt a chill in his heart. He turned his head and stared at her. Their eyes met, and there were too many complex feelings in each other's eyes. Tang Jing secretly made up his mind. If there was a chance, he must kill Li Xiaotian. This woman knew his identity. She was a time bomb too dangerous. Of course he could not rashly kill the other. Not to mention that he was not her opponent now. Even if his strength surpassed hers, he must cleverly kill her. He must not attract the attention of others, otherwise he would fall into great trouble. "You want to kill me?" Suddenly Li Xiaotian asked with a smile like a flower. Tang Jing's heartstrings trembled. This woman was too smart to be able to read his thoughts from his eyes. He hurriedly covered it up and said, "You must be joking. You are the high and mighty holy maiden of Li Palace. Who would dare to kill you? Killing you is making an enemy of the Li Palace. Isn't that asking for death?" I didn't say that you would dare to kill me. You just want to kill me. Daring and thinking are two different things. But let me tell you one thing, I don't want to kill you, so give me the heaven-shocking bow as soon as possible. How about we go our separate ways?" Pausing for a moment, Li Xiaotian added, "Furthermore, I can guarantee that the Li Palace will protect you. Even the martial sect will not dare to do anything to you. All of this, you only need to hand over the heaven-shocking bow." This suggestion was very tempting. Handing over the heaven-shocking bow could resolve the martial sect's troubles once and for all. If his heart was not firm, he would definitely agree to this condition. However, Tang Jing already knew what kind of person Li Xiaotian was, so how could he easily believe her promise? He believed that as long as Li Xiaotian obtained the heaven-shocking bow, she would not hesitate to shoot him to death. This woman's heart was black. Tang Jing acted as if he did not hear anything, and quietly stared at the flower. Li Xiaotian shrugged his shoulders and said, "Let me remind you, the martial sect will not let you off. Don't think that with the Ye family supporting you, you can rest easy." Tang Jing did not comment, as if he did not hear anything. Li Xiaotian left, and Tang Jing followed closely behind. After confirming that he was not followed, he quietly went to Lu Qingmei's house. When she saw the bandage on Tang Jing's arm, she immediately became extremely anxious and pulled him aside to ask questions. Tang Jing did not explain in detail, and only looked into her eyes seriously. This was the first time Lu Qingmei had seen Tang Jing so serious and asked, "What's the matter?" "Sister Mei, I want to tell you something very important. This is a matter of life and death. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing for you," Tang Jing said in a deep voice. Lu Qingmei's expression became serious and asked, "As long as you tell me, no matter what it is, I am willing to know without any regrets." Tang Jing's head heated up and he muttered to himself, "Sister Mei, in this world other than ordinary people, there are two other types of people, martial artists and cultivators. I've heard of martial artists before. They're people with powerful skills. I heard that Yi Dingdong's family are martial artists," Lu Qingmei said. Tang Jing nodded his head and said, "Other than martial artists, there are also cultivators. Cultivators are even more mysterious, and their strength cannot be underestimated." Tang Jing spoke tirelessly, telling her the difference between cultivators and martial artists, as well as the various mysteries of cultivators. This was the result of careful consideration by Tang Jing. Lu Qingmei was an ordinary person, and she had no ability to protect herself. Since he had decided to let her practice magic, of course he had to tell her these things. Moreover, Tang Jing decided to pass on the dragon god secret art that he obtained from the five-clawed golden dragon to Lu Qingmei. Currently, he didn't have a suitable cultivation method in his hands. Moreover, the Dragon God secret art was definitely not weaker than the Cloud Water secret art that Fang Shishir practiced. It was just right for Lu Qingmei to practice this. Lu Qingmei was already stunned, and she looked at him incredulously. These words seemed to have opened another door in front of her, shaking her three views. It turned out that people could really fly over eaves and vault over walls, and they could also use magic. This kind of method was close to that of immortals. Suddenly she realized a very serious problem and quickly asked, Tang Jing, are you a cultivator or a martial artist? Cultivator. Tang Jing calmly said. Didn't you say that the relationship between cultivators and martial artists is not good? There is even a martial organization that specializes in hunting cultivators. Doesn't this mean that you are very dangerous? Lu Qingmei said with concern. Tang Jing nodded, I am indeed very dangerous. My injuries were caused by the people from the martial organization, but the martial organization is still not clear about my identity as a cultivator, so I am still safe for the time being. Lu Qingmei clutched her chest. In the past 20 years, the things that she had seen were not as big as this information. However, she was very gratified that Tang Jing told her this secret because it was related to his life and death and was the biggest secret. Him confessing to her already showed her position in his heart. Immediately, she felt as if she had eaten honey in the bottom of her heart. Then what are you going to do now? Will the martial organization still come to deal with you? Block soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. I am fine for the time being, but I am also dancing on a steel wire rope. At any time I can fall off the cliff and be smashed into pieces. Chapter 348. Hearing her heartfelt words, Tang Jing was very excited and tightly hugged her. At this moment, the two people's hearts were closer than ever before. Nameio and say, okay, I'll teach you the Dragon God technique. Let's cultivate it together. If the martial organization wants to deal with us, it won't be that easy. Tang Jing said firmly. At this moment, Lu Qingmei remembered that her cultivation technique was called the Dragon God technique. That night, Tang Jing and Lu Qingmei were both cultivating the Dragon God technique. Under Tang Jing's guidance, Lu Qingmei's progress was very fast. Her profound Yin body was indeed suitable for cultivation. With the help of spirit stones, the two of them reached the first layer of the Dragon God technique. Lu Qingmei directly reached the first grade of the foundation establishment stage. This made Tang Jing overjoyed. Her physique was even better than Fang Shishir's. Moreover, with the help of enough spirit stones, her progress was very fast. Speaking of spirit stones, Tang Jing couldn't help but frown. The air pollution in the capital was very serious, and the heaven and earth spirit chi was even thinner than the ordinary balance. Using the spirit gathering pill to absorb spirit chi to cultivate was not reliable. Moreover, there were many experts in the capital. If the heaven and earth spirit chi fluctuated too violently, his identity would be discovered. Therefore, the spirit gathering pill was temporarily useless and the spirit stones were almost exhausted. If he wanted to quickly increase his cultivation, he had to find a substitute. He racked his brains for a long time and finally decided to look for pills. After searching for 10 days, he found a type of pill called the Dragon Origin pill. This pill was full of spirituality. It was refined using hundreds of precious medicinal ingredients and the blood of a flood dragon as a catalyst. The Dragon Yuan pill was also a very precious pill in the cultivation world. Because of the flood dragon's blood as a catalyst, the effect was very overbearing and could quickly increase one's cultivation. The flood dragon is not a real dragon, but an existence before the flood dragon turned into a dragon. Using the flood dragon's blood as a catalyst has such an effect. If using the blood of a true dragon as a catalyst, what kind of effect would it have? Tang Jing curiously thought. If other people knew of his thoughts, they would definitely scoff and think that he was crazy. Flood dragon blood was not easy to find, let alone true dragon blood. The dragon was a very unique creature. It was completely different from ordinary demon beasts. Its status in the Xiaoshensen world was quite high. It was difficult for ordinary cultivators to see a real dragon in their lifetime, let alone obtain the blood of a real dragon. It was simply wishful thinking. Therefore, the person who researched the Dragon Origin pill used the blood of a flood dragon and did not use the blood of a true dragon. To other people, all of this was a fantasy, but to Tang Jing, it was something that could really be realized. That was because there was a real dragon imprisoned under the imperial city. The true dragon's blood was only a catalyst, so he didn't need much of it. The key was how to persuade the five-clawed golden dragon to voluntarily give up its blood. Otherwise, with Tang Jing's strength, there was no way he could obtain the true dragon's blood. When he returned to the Yenching University dormitory with this problem, his three brothers looked at him strangely. But when they saw the injury on his arm, they immediately surrounded him and asked about his well-being. Tang Jing smiled and said that it was not a big deal. Only then did the three of them relax, but their expressions were still a little strange. Sinosaurus patted him on the shoulder and said, "Lao San, yesterday you were really outstanding. What divine martial prowess surpassing others?" Tang Jing was confused. Zhou Yan said, "Lao San, you are now a famous person. In the future you will be a big shot. Don't forget about us in the future." Wang Shiji also had a serious face and said in a serious tone, "Oh, three remember. *CK, what are the three of you doing? Just what is going on?" Tang Jing inexplicably cried out. "You really don't know?" The three of them were incredulous. "What do I know?" Sinosaurus quickly turned on the computer and opened a video. He pointed to Tang Jing and said, "See for yourself." The computer was playing a video. Tang Jing instantly opened his eyes wide. This was the scene of him fighting with the third elder yesterday. How did it get online? This is bad. There must be someone who secretly recorded it and then posted it online. This time he was exposed. What made him even more surprised was the comments and reposts. There were actually tens of thousands of comments. This was definitely the rhythm of becoming popular. Damn, this bro is popular. Tang Jing had a bitter face. He did not want to become popular. He liked to keep a low profile. Moreover, if this kind of battle video was seen by someone, what if they found some clues? Hehe, Lao San, now I know that you are popular. The netizens have given you a famous nickname, Kung Fu Bro. Lao San said mischievously. Damn, Kung Fu Bro, who gave this name? They must be so bored that their balls hurt. Your Kung Fu is really too powerful. It is even more beautiful and powerful than in the movies. It makes people's blood boil. Alright, who is that old man? Tang Jing shook his head. A madman, but it's already been taken care of. How can I delete this video? Delete it for what? People nowadays can't wait to become famous. Since you have this opportunity, of course you have to seize it. As long as this topic is hyped up, your reputation will be famous. In the future, there will be reporters, television stations, and film companies looking for you, and then you will become a big shot celebrity. Haha, this time, the few of us can also benefit from it. Lao San, why don't I be your manager in the future? Zhou Yan was also eager to give it a try. Tang Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If he wanted to become famous, he wouldn't have been unwilling to expose himself even though he was the top scorer in the exam. In the end, he gave the opportunity to Takashi. Lao Si, how can you fight with me? Of course, this manager belongs to me. Sinosaurus volunteered. Lao Air, you are tall and strong. Being Lao San's bodyguard is not bad. For example, in the future, you will be responsible for the pursuit and interception of those fans. Zhou Yan said. That's a good suggestion. Wang Shiji nodded in agreement with a serious expression. Tang Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Stop messing around, I don't want to be famous, I don't want to be famous. The few of them looked suspiciously at Tang Jing, confirming that he was not joking. They were all surprised, young people who did not want to be famous, who did not want to be loved and respected by others. But Tang Jing was actually not moved by fame and fortune, he was truly a freak. Lao San, it's too late if you don't want to be famous. Moreover, this incident has caused a lot of discussion about martial arts. Some of the so-called experts and sect leaders of the martial arts sects on the internet have said that you are faking it. It is impossible for a person's martial arts to be that powerful. This has caused a lot of debate among the netizens. Zhou Yan said helplessly. Sinosaurus curled his lips and said disdainfully, I think those experts and sect leaders are all people fishing for fame. They are not as powerful as Lao San, so they are just making sarcastic remarks and slandering him. They are really too despicable. Wang Shiji said, but there are still a lot of people who support Lao San. Of course, the eyes of the masses are bright. Tang Jing shook his head. He really did not know how this matter would ferment. He could no longer control the things on the internet, but this reminded him that he had to be more cautious in the future and not let others catch him. After a day of classes, the few of them walked downstairs to the dormitory building and found a few people carrying cameras guarding the entrance. Tang Jing was stunned. Damn, he really attracted the attention of the people from the television station. In this moment of shock, a few reporters immediately noticed him and rushed over. They handed the microphone directly to Tang Jing's mouth and asked in rapid succession, "Excuse me, are you Kung Fu Bro?" Seeing that Tang Jing did not answer, the other party asked again, "Kung Fu Bro, may I ask if your Kung Fu is real?" "Sorry, I don't accept interviews." Tang Jing wanted to walk away from the side, but how could the experienced reporter let him do as he wished? The female reporter had already used her body to block the entrance and did not let Tang Jing enter. She continued to ask, "Between you and that old man, who won and who lost in the end?" "I can't announce it. Sorry, I have to go back to the dormitory." Tang Jing refused. But the reporter was the best at chasing and did not let him go. She said, "Kung Fu bro, I heard that the Wuxia Martial Arts Association is looking for you. May I ask if they have contacted you? Will you consider joining them? And the annual martial arts convention is about to begin. Will you participate?" "Of course not." Tang Jing learned real skills, not the showy martial arts on TV. Why would he participate in some Wuxia martial arts convention? "I just want to be a quiet student. Please don't disturb me." Tang Jing said helplessly. "Kung Fu bro, a lot of people on the internet like you. They hope that you will stand up for Wuxia's martial arts and win glory for the country. Don't let down your skills." The reporter said sincerely, "And I am also a martial arts enthusiast. Although I don't know martial arts, I, like many others, believe in the authenticity of Wuxia's martial arts and its actual combat ability. It is not as showy as some people say." The more the reporter spoke, the more excited she became. It was obvious that she had put her own personal feelings into it. Now more and more people don't believe in the inheritance left by their ancestors. Instead, they believe in imported goods, especially martial arts. If we don't do something, I'm afraid that in another 10 or 20 years, Wuxia's martial arts will really withdraw from the stage of history and those imported goods will become popular. This is simply a disgrace. When Tang Jing heard this, his face became serious. When he was an ordinary person, he also believed that Wuxia had truly powerful martial arts, but there were many people around him who scoffed at it and thought it was nonsense. At that time he was also very sad and often complained about why those experts did not make a move. Why did they hide and not prove their country's heritage? This was simply condoning those imported goods to become popular. But now he had also become an expert. Although he was not a real martial artist, his ability was not inferior to a martial artist. He had the ability to prove Wuxia's martial arts and give many people a kind of belief and confidence, allowing Wuxia's martial arts to truly rise and go further. Seeing that the reporter was so serious and even had a pleading look on his face, Tang Jing was silent and his gaze gradually became serious. The reporter was not in a hurry and looked at him without blinking. He did not know if he would give those who still believed in Wuxia's martial arts a boost of confidence. Many thoughts and worries flashed through Tang Jing's mind. In the end, he made a decision. Chapter 349. Tang Jing looked at the expectant reporters and said in a deep voice, "I will reiterate that I will not join any martial arts organization that only knows how to show off. However, if there is a chance to prove Wuxia's martial arts, I am willing to do my best. Zishdi will eat well." The reporter was overjoyed and said, "Thank you, Kung Fu bro. All the martial arts enthusiasts in the country will thank you. After so many years, no one has stood up for martial arts, and you have done a deed of boundless virtue." Tang Jing smiled and said, "I am not as noble as you say. I'm only doing what I can. However, I can tell those doubters that you all swear that Wuxia's martial arts are all showy but useless. I want to tell you that you are very wrong. There are many real experts in the country, but they do not care about your clichés." The reporter was so excited that his eyes turned red and said, "What you said is very good. However, if someone challenges you, will you accept the challenge?" "Yes, I will use my own strength to prove the fighting strength of Wuxia's martial arts." Tang Jing solemnly promised. The reporter left satisfied. His words were quickly published. Suddenly, the debate about Chinese martial arts intensified and became the hottest topic on the internet. However, the doubters were still unwilling to give up. They said that Tang Jing was just playing to the gallery and was an embroidered pillow. However, Tang Jing was like an outsider. He completely ignored the debate on the internet. Although his roommates mentioned it to him a few times, he just laughed it off. However, the situation was far more complicated than he imagined. The next day, a middle-aged man with a bulging belly found him and claimed to be the vice president of the Wuxia Martial Arts Association. The vice president did not have the slightest bit of respect for Tang Jing. This was because Tang Jing said in front of the reporters that Wuxia Martial Arts Association was an organization that only knew how to show off. Although this was the truth, after all, being slapped in the face by Tang Jing like this made this group of people lose face. Moreover, the Wuxia Martial Arts Association was a semi-official organization. Many of the chairman and vice-chairman had official identities, and many of the consultants were the leaders of the major sections. All these years the right to speak had been controlled by them. Now, a young man had come out and said that they were all flowers and no substance. Although this was the truth, how could they not be angry when it was exposed like this? Tang Jing, you're still so young. Why are you saying such irresponsible things? This is an insult to the entire martial arts world, do you know that? The impact is extremely bad. The vice president reprimanded harshly. Tang Jing had figured out the reason for the other party's anger, so he showed disdain. These people, who usually only knew how to cheat the country's policies and money, also dared to talk about bad influence and so on. It was really a case of a thief crying thief. If it weren't for these people adding fuel to the fire and turning martial arts into dance arts, Wuxia's martial arts wouldn't have been rejected by so many people and landed in such an awkward situation. Zish Di can eat, I'll return those words to you. You know very well whether I'm lying or not, Tang Jing retorted without holding back. The vice-chairman was a government official, not a martial arts practitioner. Deep down he did not believe that Tang Jing was that powerful. Although he had seen the video circulating on the internet, the current filming technology was so advanced that an ordinary person could become a master with just some editing. Moreover, there were so many people hyping things up on the internet, so he did not believe that Tang Jing was that powerful. He thought that Tang Jing was just a sensationalist. Seeing Tang Jing's attitude, the vice-chairman's face sank. Is this your attitude? I will make you regret what you said today. After saying that, he flicked his sleeves and left. Not long after, the Wuxia Martial Arts Association issued an official statement that Tang Jing was just a clown. It was just a hype and told everyone not to believe his words. This time, the people who originally scoffed at martial arts seized the opportunity and attacked Tang Jing like a storm, while the people who supported Tang Jing vigorously refuted. The two groups of people quarreled on the internet until people were thrown off their feet. The person involved, Tang Jing, did not pay attention to these gossip. Under the curtain of night, he sneaked into the underground of the imperial city and discussed the matter of the dragon origin pill with the 5-clawed golden dragon. Presumptuous, you are too bold. You actually have the idea of using my blood to refine pills. This is an insult to the dragon clan. The 5-clawed golden dragon was high above as he angrily complained. The eruption of the dragons might make Tang Jing feel a strong pressure. However, he did not back down and earnestly advised, Golden Dragon, not long after, the people from the martial sect will come to kill me. If my cultivation does not increase quickly, then I will be very passive and my life will be in danger. Didn't I teach you the Dragon God technique? I have only cultivated to the first stage of the Dragon God technique. Although this technique is very powerful, it can't make me stronger overnight, so only the Dragon Origin pill is the most useful thing for me. Moreover, I don't want your life, I just want a few drops of your blood as a medicinal primer. The 5-clawed golden dragon stared at Tang Jing with his lantern-sized eyes, as if he was weighing his words. After a long while, he still said indignantly, the life of the dragon clan is very precious. Even blood cannot be given to others casually. Tang Jing rolled his eyes and said, don't tell me you weren't injured when you fought with others and didn't bleed at all? The 5-clawed golden dragon hesitated. My cultivation will increase quickly and then I will let you regain your freedom. Isn't this killing 2 birds with 1 stone? The 5-clawed golden dragon's eyes changed. Finally he snorted and said indignantly, you humans are so cunning. Fine, I promise you. But I will tell you this is the only time. Although Tang Jing felt that it was a pity, there was nothing he could do. With a wave of his hand, the 9 revolving pill furnace flew out. I will immediately start refining the pill. When I need the dragon blood I will tell you. The 5-clawed golden dragon looked at him curiously and said, you have a lot of skills. You even know how to refine pills. Tang Jing pointed his finger and a ball of flame ignited on his finger. It was a 2nd-grade true fire. Although his cultivation had increased a lot compared to before, the grade of his true fire did not break through. However, using a 2nd-grade true fire to refine pills was more than enough. A large bag of medicinal ingredients that had been prepared long ago was thrown into the pill furnace. With a boom, a flame rose from the pill furnace and completely enveloped the medicinal ingredients. The medicinal properties of the medicinal ingredients were pulled out like silk from a cocoon, and the dregs disappeared under the burning of the 2nd-grade true fire. In the end, all the medicinal properties of the medicinal ingredients were gathered together and turned into a fist-sized liquid ball. It was suspended in the pill furnace and rapidly rotated. Now, drop the dragon blood into the 9 revolving pill furnace. Tang Jing said loudly. The five-clawed golden dragon stretched out its dragon claw and its originally golden scales suddenly turned blood red. A drop of dragon blood seeped out from the scales and dripped into the pill furnace. A ray of blood soared into the sky and even covered the color of the true fire. The entire hall was dyed in a blood-red color. Tang Jing was overjoyed. The true dragon blood was indeed extraordinary. He could clearly feel the strange power contained within that drop of dragon blood. The Dragon Yuan pill was much more complicated than the spirit-gathering pill, so Tang Jing formed a seal with both hands and quickly slapped the pill furnace. Peng 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 peng. A few muffled sounds rang out as the pill furnace began to rapidly rotate. The spiritual qi between heaven and earth became chaotic, as if a storm was raging as it continuously poured into the pill furnace. A few hours later the pill furnace stopped rotating. A ball of golden light slowly rose from the pill furnace and a fragrance filled the entire space. It made people feel as if they were floating in the air. The five-clawed golden dragon glanced at him and said, "Skywalker, your alchemy skills are not bad. You can actually refine such a high-grade Dan." Tang Jing was secretly delighted. This was his only chance to refine the Dragon Yuan pill. In the future, it would not be easy to persuade the five-clawed golden dragon to take the dragon blood's initiative. He quickly leaned over and saw 10 glittering Dragon Yuan pills quietly lying in the pill furnace. They were emitting an enticing aura. 10 Dragon Yuan pills. This was the result of one refining session. It was much less than when he refined the spirit-gathering pill. Back when the 9 revolving pill furnace was not a profound grade magic treasure, he could refine more than 20 spirit-gathering pills at once. But now that the 9 revolving pill furnace's grade had increased, he could only refine 10 Dragon Yuan pills. This was enough to show how difficult it was to refine the Dragon Yuan pill. There was a truth in alchemy. The more precious the Dan was, the more difficult it was to refine. The Dragon Yuan pill was undoubtedly a precious Dan. Tang Jing carefully put away the 10 Dragon Yuan pills and then left the imperial city. The sky was getting brighter. Before he had time to go to Lu Qingmei's house to share the joy of the Dragon Yuan pill with her, he received a call from Sinosaurus. Sinosaurus called early in the morning. There must be something urgent. Sinosaurus shouted, "Third brother, someone has sent you a letter of challenge. They want to challenge you." A letter of challenge? Tang Jing was confused. Could it be that those fake goods from the Wuxia Martial Arts Association dared to send him a letter of challenge? Wasn't that just asking for humiliation? He knew what the Wuxia Martial Arts Association had done in the past few days. The other party had issued an official statement more than once to accuse Tang Jing of malicious speculation and tarnishing the reputation of the Martial Arts Association. They wanted to hold him responsible. Tang Jing brushed it off with a smile. This time he heard that someone had sent him a letter of challenge. He couldn't help but be curious and asked, "Who sent me a letter of challenge?" Sinosaurus chuckled and kept him in suspense. He said, "Third brother, isn't the Martial Arts Society convention about to start? And your matter has pushed the Wuxia Martial Arts Association to the forefront of the storm. Moreover, the Martial Arts Association's face has been ruined by you. So in order to save face, they want to hold this Martial Arts Society convention as a global competition and invite all the martial arts fans in the world to compete." This group of people from the Martial Arts Association really think of themselves as officials. They think that everyone will give them face. They took the initiative to send invitations to many experts from other countries, inviting them to come to the capital to participate in the Martial Arts Society convention. Most people ignored them because these experts know that the people from the Martial Arts Association are all showy and impractical. Competing with them for the so-called championship is an insult to themselves. In the end, the Martial Arts Association didn't even invite a single expert. However, an unexpected piece of news came out later. A Muay Thai expert saw your video, so he named you and sent you a letter of challenge. He will only participate if you participate in the Martial Arts Society convention. Chapter 350. When Tang Jing returned to school, his roommates were already waiting for him. The three of them looked rather excited, and Tang Jing asked curiously, "What is the background of this Muay Thai expert?" Sinosaurus said as if he was presenting a treasure, "I just checked online, this person is called Sampa, he is the #1 expert in Thailand, he debuted in his teens, he is invincible, he is the champion of all kinds of boxing competitions, it is said that he often goes to the underground boxing ring to fight and refine his martial arts. He is very powerful, he can kick a tree as thick as a bowl with one leg. Zhou Yin sighed. Muay Thai is a powerful leg technique. This person's legs are like steel and iron bones, they are invincible. So what? I feel that this Sampa is not a match for OL3. Wang Shiji said in a nutshell. Sinosaurus laughed out loud. Of course, who is OL3? He is the #1 fierce person in our archaeology department, the #1 person in Muay Thai. You will still beat him down. And then? Tang Jing asked. After that, it became even more exciting. The Martial Arts Association invited a true expert and ignored them. Ever since this Sampa jumped out, the experts of the other countries also responded one after another, saying that you have to participate before they can participate. This has caused the officials of the Martial Arts Association to worry. Sinosaurus said gloatingly. What countermeasures do they have? What else can there be? Countermeasures? Just drag it out. In any case, there is no reply yet. I don't know what decision they will make in the end. Zhou Yin said disdainfully. Let's see how long they can drag it out. They can't possibly keep covering their ears and pretending to be cowards. Wang Shiji said. Ding-ling-ling. The phone rang again, but this time it was the reporter. His voice was even more excited as he explained the situation to Tang Jing. In the end, he said indignantly, those people from the Martial Arts Association are too despicable. They just issued a statement saying that your kung fu is a lie and that they will definitely not invite you to the martial arts conference. The Muay Thai expert, Sampa, has already issued a challenge, yet they still say that your kung fu is not practical and that you are a liar. I think they have ulterior motives. They don't want to revitalize Wuxia's martial arts. Tang Jing's heart skipped a beat. He asked, since the other party has come to challenge us, will it be of any use if we continue to deceive ourselves like this? Don't you know what they're thinking? No matter if you win or lose, they will lose face, so they might as well not let you participate at all. This way they can rest easy. The reporter exposed the sinister intentions of the Martial Arts Association. They don't care about the responsibility of revitalizing Wuxia's martial arts. They only care about their own interests. If I accept the challenge, what should I do? Tang Jing asked in a deep voice. The reporter was shocked and quickly asked, you accept the challenge? Are you confident in winning? That Sampa is not simple. Tang Jing smiled faintly and asked, do you think I can win? Of course I believe in you. I believe in Wuxia's martial arts. The reporter said confidently. That's enough. Just tell me how to accept the challenge. Only then can we push this matter to the highest level of public opinion. Tang Jing asked. With the arrival of the Martial Arts Association in Beijing, it was impossible for Tang Jing to keep a low profile. Thus, he simply used this martial arts convention to express his presence to the world. Moreover, this martial arts convention could more effectively link his identity with a martial artist and not a cultivator. Hearing this, the reporter pondered for a while and said, if we want to push this matter to the highest level of public opinion, then we need to publicize it in all directions. If you are not worried, our newspaper can issue a letter of acceptance on your behalf. If the Martial Arts Association is willing to be a coward, then we will do it ourselves. Then I'll leave this matter to you. Don't worry, I will definitely do this matter well. I believe that this will be the most important thing in my career as a reporter. The reporter was extremely excited. Tang Jing's statement was published on the internet on the same day, and the print media also followed up. Every newspaper and magazine reprinted Tang Jing's statement, accepting the challenge of the Muay Thai master Sampa, and was willing to accept any boxing master from any country to prove to the world the strength and charm of Wuxia's martial arts. This was Tang Jing challenging the experts of the world. This kind of domineering action immediately made the public extremely excited, as if they had eaten an aphrodisiac. The supporters of Wuxia's martial arts were all shouting excitedly. They volunteered to support Tang Jing on the internet, and many people responded. Brother Kung Fu's name was even more resounding, even comparable to many big stars. However, there were also many doubters. Many people hurled insults at Tang Jing, thinking that he was just playing to the gallery. These people were waiting to see Tang Jing make a fool of himself. The people who were the most angry were the people of the Martial Arts Association. They did not recognize Tang Jing's strength, and even thought that his kung fu was showy and impractical, just to deceive laymen. But this time, Tang Jing directly bypassed them and challenged the experts of the world, which was equivalent to slapping them in the face. For so many years, no one had ever dared to do this because the real martial arts masters did not bother to pay attention to this group of clowns. The Martial Arts Association immediately issued an official statement, saying that Tang Zheng was discrediting martial arts. When the time came, his showy and impractical skills would not be able to defeat the experts of other countries. That would be a great sin, and this was the sinister intention of the foreign forces. They told everyone to be on guard and not let Tang Zheng succeed. Tang Zheng's counterattack was also very fast. Through the reporters, if the people of the Martial Arts Association thought that he was not qualified, then they could challenge him first. This made the public even more heated, but the statements of the experts of other countries who accepted the challenge one by one pushed this matter to the highest level. The experts of all kinds of boxing from other countries accepted the challenge one after another, and they were about to come to Wuxia to accept Tang Zheng's challenge. This was equivalent to them admitting that Tang Zheng's level was not showy and impractical like what the Martial Arts Association said, but real kung fu. The Martial Arts Association was immediately silenced. Only then did they realize that Tang Zheng's kung fu was not fake but real kung fu. These officials who only knew showy and impractical kung fu immediately knew that they were in a dilemma. The martial arts competition they held immediately became a laughing stock, and no one dared to challenge Tang Zheng. This matter made Tang Zheng even more popular in Yenching University, and he became a real celebrity. Everywhere he went, people pointed at him and talked about him. Many people even directly came up to him to cheer him on, telling him that he must ruthlessly teach those foreign boxers a lesson. Tang Zheng tasted the taste of being a celebrity, but his mentality was very calm. This made Li Xiaotian, who was still following him, snort disdainfully. "You're a cultivator. What's the point of bullying those so-called experts?" Tang Zheng shook his head. "How am I bullying them? To be honest, there are also experts in other countries such as the island nation. You also saw the strength of the other party in the 100,000 Mountains. They are real experts. You're only at the foundation establishment stage. If you provoke the experts of those countries like this, aren't you asking for trouble? What if you lose?" Li Xiaotian asked in confusion. "There are some things in this world that have to be done. If others don't do it, I won't do it either. Then no one will do it." In the past, it was because of this that Huaxia's martial arts fell into such an awkward situation. Although I'm not a martial artist, I also have a martial arts dream since I was young. I want to do something for martial arts as much as I can. Tang Zheng's words were sincere. When Li Xiaotian heard this, her expression changed slightly. She was a martial artist, but she had never thought about this problem. She didn't care about other people's views on martial artists. As for the decline of Huaxia's martial arts, it had nothing to do with her. However, after hearing Tang Zheng's words, she couldn't help but feel a little ashamed. The dignity of Huaxia's martial arts had to be protected by a cultivator. Your intentions are very good, but some people might not understand you. Don't you see that the people from the Martial Arts Association have been slandering you? Li Xiaotian said. Tang Zheng laughed unconcernedly. There will always be a few clowns in this world. If I pay attention to them, wouldn't I be looking for trouble? I just need to do my own thing. Aren't you afraid that the martial sect will come to deal with you again? As long as you don't reveal my identity, the martial sect will always be afraid of me. In fact, the more famous I am, the more cautious the martial sect will be. Tang Zheng laughed. Oh, so that's your plan. You're quite smart. The two of them did not continue to chat because he was informed to go to the academy's office building. In the office building he saw Yan Liang and another middle-aged man. The man frowned and stared at Tang Zheng with hostility. Yan Liang looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. The last time Tang Zheng was humiliated in front of Qi Shaowen, the dean even criticized him. This made him secretly hate Tang Zheng. However, Tang Zheng had Qi Shaowen's support. There was nothing Yan Liang could do to him. This time, Tang Zheng had caused a big stir and became the focus of public opinion. He had also slapped the Martial Arts Association hard in the face. Yan Liang hated and was afraid of Tang Zheng. However, he could hold his head high today. He was secretly excited because the chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Jianghu, had come to the academy and criticized Tang Zheng in front of the school leaders. Jianghu was not an ordinary person. He was a real official. He was the head of the Martial Arts Association and a deputy director. He had single-handedly promoted the establishment of the Martial Arts Association. Yan Liang was the tutor of Tang Zheng's cohort. In the end, he was entrusted with an important task by the academy. Yan Liang was asked to cooperate with Jianghu to deal with Tang Zheng's matter. Yan Liang had an imperial sword. He said arrogantly, Tang Jing, you've caused such a big trouble this time. You've brought shame to the academy and the martial arts association. Do you know what you've done wrong? Tang Jing was baffled. This Yan Liang's criticism caused his anger to burst out with a whoosh. He did not have the slightest bit of good expression as he retorted, Humph, you're trying to put a big hat on me, right? You're not qualified. Yan Liang had a bad reputation. Tang Jing heard that he had accepted many gifts from the student union cadres before promising them positions. Yan Liang was delighted. The more you jump, the happier I am. This way, you'll be able to prove your arrogance to the chairman of the Martial Arts Association. Let's see what he'll do to you. You think I can't do anything to you just because you have Qi Shaowen's support? You're wrong. You're too naive. This society is too complicated. There are thousands of ways to mess with you. This is a godsend. Chapter 351. Tang Jing raised his eyebrows and looked at the person he had never met. He retorted, Where are your manners? Nonsense, this is simply nonsense. Are the students from Yenqing University all like this? Yu Zhankui flew into a rage. This kind of official, who was used to being high and mighty, was obviously flustered and exasperated when he saw a young person dare to challenge his authority. Tang Jing, this is the chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Yu Zhankui. You are being too presumptuous with your words. Yan Liang reprimanded sternly as he tried his best to defend Yu Zhankui's authority. Tang Jing's gaze turned cold. The other party was actually the chairman of the Martial Arts Association. In other words, he was the one who had repeatedly declared that Tang Jing's martial arts were showy but impractical, saying that he was trying to please the crowd with claptrap. Tang Jing's face gradually revealed an evil expression. He clasped his hands and said, So it's the chairman of the Martial Arts Association. Nice to meet you. Seeing Tang Jing's expression soften as though he was about to give in, Yu Zhankui's face revealed a pleased expression. He thought to himself that his reputation was indeed great. This immature brat was still afraid of him after all. Yan Liang's expression darkened. This brat actually knew how to be afraid. It was too unexpected. This way it would not be able to intensify their conflict. Humph, Tang Jing, immediately go and make a statement. Obey the management of the Writers' Association and cancel the arranged battle with those people, Yu Zhankui said arrogantly. Tang Jing found it a little funny. This person really thought he was a big shot. He was not in a hurry to fall out with him. Instead he asked, Oh, what other requests do you have? Yu Zhankui's expression became even more arrogant as he said, In addition, apologize to the Martial Arts Association in public. Apologize for your irresponsible words in the past and apologize for tarnishing the reputation of the Martial Arts Association. Is that so? What else? Tang Jing asked with a smile, his eyes narrowed into a thin line, as if he was harmless to humans and animals. Li Xiaotian stood at the side without saying a word, watching with great interest. When she saw Tang Jing's expression, the corners of her mouth also curled up into a faint smile, as if she was watching a good show. Also, Yu Zhankui was stunned for a moment, as if he didn't expect Tang Jing to be so tactful. He paused for a moment and said, I haven't thought of anything else yet. When we think of something, we'll let you know. The smile on Tang Jing's face grew wider, but there was a trace of coldness in his eyes as he said, Since Chairman Yu is a senior, then I have a presumptuous request. Oh, what is it? Tell me. Yu Zhankui thought that he had completely taken the initiative and intimidated Tang Jing. I want to ask you about your martial arts, Tang Jing said firmly. Ask you about my martial arts? Yu Zhankui was stunned for a moment. He only knew a little bit of martial arts, so how could he be a match for Tang Jing? Moreover, he was relying on his status as an official and not his real martial arts. However, he concealed it very well and said in a dignified manner, Your humble attitude to learn is good, but I can't bully a junior. It wouldn't be good if I hurt you. Tang Jing obviously knew what the other party was capable of, so he wouldn't be deceived by the other party's few words. He said, I'm not worried about getting hurt. Please enlighten me. Tang Jing's 2 feet moved forward, closing the distance between them, almost touching Yu Zhankui's face. Yu Zhankui was shocked and hurriedly retreated. But how could Tang Jing let him escape? With lightning speed, he directly grabbed the other party's arm, and with a kacha sound, the other party's 2 arms were directly removed, limp and powerless as they drooped, and his face revealed a look of fear and pain. Before Yu Zhangkue could finish his sentence, Tang Zheng's two palms had already landed on his chest, and with a ping sound Yu Zhangkue was sent flying, crashing into the wall in a sorry state. Ah! Yu Zhangkue screamed miserably. Yen Liang was so scared that he sat down on the ground. This scene was completely out of his expectations. More importantly, Tang Zheng's fierce attacks made him dumbstruck. Only now did he realize how terrifying Tang Zheng's strength was. If he targeted Tang Zheng, then if Tang Zheng did the same to him, then his life would be in danger. You dare to hurt me? I will sue you. I will have Yenqing University expel you. Yu Zhangkue roared. Tang Zheng disdainfully said, Sue me? Then go ahead and sue me. Didn't you call yourself a senior? It's not wrong for me to ask you for guidance, right? If I hurt you, then it can only be because you are not as skilled as others. Yu Zhangkue was speechless. Humph, let me tell you, if you want to put on airs in front of me, then you are still too inexperienced. Your martial arts association's inaction these past few years has harmed Wuxia's martial arts. You should be clear about it. If you have any moves, then feel free to use them. I will receive them one by one. As for you wanting me to quit school, haha, then let's see if you have the qualifications. After saying this, his eyes turned cold as he stared at Yen Liang. Yen Liang's entire body went cold. He trembled as he retreated and said, Tang Zheng, what are you doing? Instructor Yen, I have no grudges with you in the past. If you really treat me as a student that you can bully as you please, then let me tell you, you will be very miserable. You better look out for yourself. Students don't come to school to be yelled at and do whatever you want. Tang Zheng, you misunderstand. I have no intention of targeting you. Yen Liang shook his head like a rattle drum as he denied. Humph, you know very well. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian left the school's office building. You're not afraid that President Yu will take revenge on you? I don't think he is a good person. You hurt him and also made him lose face. You will not let this go. Li Xiaotian asked with a smile that was not a smile. Tang Zheng shrugged and said, That is exactly what I want. I am looking forward to his revenge. Only then will it involve his interests. Don't you think the Martial Arts Association's actions these past few years are strange? Oh, what's strange? Li Xiaotian asked curiously. The Li Palace was well informed, but they had never paid attention to an unimportant organization like the Martial Arts Association. The Martial Arts Association holds this so-called martial arts convention. Just how many so-called experts have been invited? They are fooling the common people, but the common people are not stupid. They gradually see through the true colors of these so-called experts, so the martial arts conventions are becoming less and less interesting. There are not many people paying attention to them. Many of the common people even think that Wuxia's martial arts are gimmicks and have no fighting power. They are incomparable to those foreign martial arts. In this way, isn't the Martial Arts Association cutting off their own path of retreat? Tang Zheng analyzed. Li Xiaotian looked puzzled. I have never thought of this problem before. Listening to your analysis, isn't the Martial Arts Association's actions contradictory? It does not suit their interests at all. There must be a reason for this abnormality. There must be something fishy going on here. It is just that I have not yet figured out what is strange about it. As he spoke, Yu Zhangkue walked out of the office building with his arms drooping. His face was dark and ruthless. At this moment, a car stopped in front of him. He got in and left. What should we do? Since there are so many strange things, of course we should chase after him and see what is going on. Didn't you say that he would not let this go? Let's go and see what kind of revenge he will take, Tang Zheng said. Li Xiaotian's eyes lit up. She was a fearless person, so she nodded readily. Okay, let's go. The other party's speed was not very fast. The two of them followed like a whirlwind. From afar, they saw the car enter a high-end villa. The two of them quietly climbed in and sneaked into the villa. Immediately, they heard Yu Zhangkue's angry voice. I must kill that brat. He dared to hurt me. I will not let him have it easy. This Tang Zheng is not an ordinary person. You have not heard of his name, so you suffered at his hands, the other person said. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian saw the owner of this voice. Was a white man. His appearance was very different from the Wuxia people. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian looked at each other. They both felt the other's doubts. How did this Yu Zhangkue get together with a foreigner? Tang Zheng had a flash of inspiration. He seemed to have understood something. Mr. Wales, what is the background of that brat? Yu Zhangkue asked curiously. His background is not simple. He is a true martial artist and has a close relationship with the Ye family, Wales said. Tang Zheng was shocked when he heard this. This foreigner actually knew him so well and even knew about his relationship with the Ye family. His incident at Dragon Elephant Mountain caused an uproar in the city, but after all, it was only spread in a small circle of the upper echelons. Normal people did not know. But this foreigner actually knew, which meant that the other party's identity was not ordinary. You are talking about the Ye family in the capital? Yu Zhangkui was shocked. Other than this Ye family, who else dares to call themselves the Ye family? Wales smiled mysteriously. He has such a strong backing. Then how do we fight him? Yu Zhangkui's face was ashen. Don't you have us behind you? With us behind you, even if it is the Ye family, what is there to be afraid of? Wales said fearlessly. Tang Zheng was slightly shocked. What was the background of this Wales? He was not even afraid of the Ye family. One had to know that against a huge family like the Ye family, normal forces would not be able to resist at all. Yu Zhangkui seemed to remember Wales' background. The fear on his face gradually receded. He squeezed out a smile and said, yes, with Mr. Wales' help, the Ye family is nothing to be afraid of. Moreover, it is not just the Ye family in the capital. The other families have been eyeing the Ye family for a long time. We are not fighting alone, we have an alliance. When the time comes to deal with the Ye family together, Tang Zheng will not be a threat. Only death will await him, Wales said confidently. Yu Zhangkui's eyes lit up and said, yes, we must kill this kid. Just do your own thing. The martial arts convention must continue to be held. We must make the people lose all faith in Wuxia. Only then can the martial arts of Wuxia truly disappear from this world. An unnatural expression flashed across Yu Zhangkui's face. Chapter 352. Yu Zhangkui was convinced. He clenched his teeth and nodded, all right, since we've already reached this step, let's do this one last time. When the time comes, I'll go abroad to reunite with my family. Contempt flashed through Wales' eyes. These Wuxia people who only had benefits in their eyes. They completely disregarded the essence left behind by their ancestors and abandoned it like a worn-out shoe. No wonder there were still so many people in the world who looked down on them. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian were shocked to the core. These two people actually colluded together for their own benefits. It was too shameless. No wonder there were so many people criticizing Wuxia martial arts these past few years, and it was a one-sided order. It turned out that there were external forces adding fuel to the fire. Li Xiaotian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. She wanted to rush out and end these two people, but Tang Zheng stopped her and shook his head at her. Li Xiaotian snorted and held back. Wuxia martial arts are the soul and courage of the people of this country. If we eliminate Wuxia martial arts, then this nation and this country will have no soul. In the future we will return to this land and take the resources of this land for ourselves. Ah, Chairman Yu, you've made great contributions. We won't forget you. Wales didn't hide his intentions and laughed loudly. Yu Zhangkui smiled embarrassedly and revealed an awkward expression. Chairman Yu Zhangkui, you're a person of the Western Empire in the future. This is all your contribution. You should be happy. This society follows the law of the jungle. This country is too weak and should be eliminated. Wales patted Yu Zhangkui's shoulder and said. Yu Zhangkui took a deep breath and said as if relieved of a burden, yes, I understand. Don't worry, Mr. Wales. I will definitely take care of this matter. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian left the villa. Li Xiaotian asked indignantly, why didn't you let me kill these two traitors? What's the point of killing them? Tang Zheng asked. Of course it's useful. This kind of person shouldn't exist in this world. I originally thought that Yu Zhangkui was just a guy fishing for fame. I didn't expect him to be so much more than that. He's a traitor who betrayed the interests of his country. Although the Li Palace was a mysterious organization that basically didn't care about worldly affairs, they were still Wuxia people. What Wales was scheming wasn't just a little bit of benefits, but the entire country and its people. This was an attempt to destroy the country and its people. This was not the physical destruction of the Wuxia people, but the spiritual destruction of their beliefs. This was the most dangerous thing. Without the spiritual support of a person, a nation could only be reduced to walking corpses. You killed Yu Zhangkui and the other Zhang Zhangkui. Zhao Zhangkui colluded with them. Can you kill them all? Li Palace glared and said, don't tell me there aren't any true patriots in this country? Of course there are. But this country has a lot of people and there are also a lot of vermin. That's why we have to kill this conspiracy from the source. The source is the power behind Wales. If we kill them now, we'll only alert the enemy. It'll be difficult to find them in the future. Moreover, they definitely aren't colluding with just you, Jianghu. There are definitely other despicable people who are colluding with them. Didn't you hear him say that there are other big families colluding with them? All the more reason for us to investigate this. Tang Jing said. Li Xiaotian gradually calmed down. Yes, we have to pull out this tumor from the source. Otherwise, killing 1 or 2 people would only give us a momentary satisfaction. It would be impossible to dissolve this conspiracy. Okay, I'll listen to you. What do you think we should do? Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Jing in a new light and humbly asked for advice. Isn't your Li Palace very good at gathering information? Of course we'll need your Li Palace's help. Li Xiaotian didn't hesitate and immediately agreed. Okay, I'll immediately send people to gather information on this. This time I'll completely dissolve their conspiracy. Tang Jing didn't tell this news to anyone else so as to avoid it being leaked. Li Xiaotian went to investigate this matter. Without a burden, he had more freedom to move around. At night, he went to Lu Qingmei's house. He predicted that there would be a huge storm, so he had to increase his strength as soon as possible to deal with this crisis. He lingered with Lu Qingmei for a while, then took out the Dragon Origin pill. Tang Jing looked at the Dragon Origin pill curiously and asked, "What is this thing?" "This pill can help you increase your cultivation. I can't always be by your side to protect you, so you have to have the power to protect yourself." Lu Qingmei was delighted. Ever since she started cultivating, she had also tasted the benefits of cultivation. Not only was her skin better, she was also more spirited. It was as if she was several years younger. "Is this pill so miraculous?" Lu Qingmei asked in disbelief. "Of course, but I'm not sure how much it can increase my cultivation, so I'll try it out first to understand its medicinal properties," Tang Jing said. "It's not dangerous, right?" "Of course not." Tang Jing smiled faintly. In fact, he didn't know whether or not there was any danger. A normal Dragon Origin pill used the blood of a flood dragon, but Tang Jing used the blood of a much higher grade true dragon this time. So he had no idea what the medicinal properties of this Dragon Origin pill were. "Then you take it first. I'll protect you," Lu Qingmei said. Tang Jing sat down cross-legged, adjusted his breathing and took the Dragon Origin pill. As soon as the Dragon Origin pill entered his mouth, it was as if an energy bomb had exploded. A powerful energy rushed from his throat to his 8 meridians. In an instant, Tang Jing felt as if his body had been thrown into a furnace. He groaned and hurriedly circulated his qi. The ancient clear heaven scroll and the Dragon God secret art revolved at the same time. True qi surged like a roaring river, rampaging through his meridians. It was as if his body was about to be torn apart. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead as his face revealed a painful expression. Lu Qingmei saw this scene and was shocked. She shouted for Tang Jing, but he didn't respond. She didn't know what to do, but she didn't dare to touch Tang Jing. She could only anxiously look at him as she prayed, "Tang Jing, nothing must happen to you. Why is this Dragon Origin pill so powerful? Is it a miracle pill or poison? It can actually make him feel so much pain." Although Tang Jing was in pain, he still guarded his mind. He continued to circulate the ancient clear heaven scroll and the Dragon God secret art. The restless true qi continued to jump up and down, rising bit by bit. So, the true qi that was originally 7 inches long instantly rose to 8 inches. Moreover, it didn't stop, as if it wanted to break through his body. He couldn't help but scream miserably. He thought to himself, F***ck, why is this Dragon Origin pill so overbearing? It even mobilized the pure yang energy in my body. Could it be that I'm going to explode and die? Lu Qingmei saw that his cheeks were gradually turning red like soldering iron. After a while, his body began to emit green smoke. In the end, his clothes directly ignited into flames. She screamed. But in an instant, the flames were extinguished again because his clothes were burned to ashes in an instant, and he was naked. Fortunately, beside him was Lu Qingmei, who had been intimate with him before. If it was anyone else, it would be embarrassing. His entire body had turned fiery red, and even his lower body had become a pillar that supported the sky. His fighting spirit was high. Lu Qingmei glanced at him, and a trace of redness appeared on her face. She said angrily, "Why is this guy so restless when we're cultivating?" Xiao Bai watched from the side with great interest. This little guy wasn't worried about Tang Jing at all. After glancing at him, it placed its attention on the porcelain bottle that contained the Dragon Origin pill. The little guy held the porcelain bottle and gently poured out a Dragon Origin pill. It looked left and right, and then quietly, its eyes revealed a look of joy. "So, Its little claws directly threw one into its mouth. Immediately, its eyes became brighter red. The last ball of flame burned in its eyes, and its snow-white hair also began to change, turning red bit by bit. In the end, its entire body was burning. Ah! Lu Qingmei was shocked by this unforeseen event. She didn't know what was going on, but when she saw the open porcelain bottle, she suddenly realized that Xiaobai had secretly eaten the dragon origin pill. Seeing Tang Zheng's appearance, she also knew the consequences of eating the dragon origin pill. But Xiaobai had also secretly eaten it. What would happen? She didn't know about Xiaobai's miraculous abilities. Usually she only treated it as a puppy. This time, when she saw it secretly eat the dragon origin pill, she was helpless. Xiaobai didn't show a painful expression like Tang Zheng. Instead, it seemed very excited. Its eyes lit up and its little mouth let out squeaking sounds. With a kick of its hind legs, it jumped up and jumped onto the wardrobe. Lu Qingmei screamed. Was this little guy going to ignite the whole room? Then wouldn't Tang Zheng be in danger? But her worries were unnecessary. The flames outside the little guy's body didn't ignite anything. It was quite magical. Suddenly, a small figure jumped up and down in the room like a ball of flame, accompanied by squeaking sounds. Lu Qingmei was dumbstruck. She didn't know whether this was good or bad for Xiaobai. But no matter what, she could only wait and see. Soon, her attention was attracted by Tang Zheng. She saw that Tang Zheng's body was getting redder and redder, as if it was really going to burn. Especially the pain on his face was getting more and more intense. No, he's in great pain. I have to do something for him. Lu Qingmei muttered to herself, thinking hard about how to help him. Suddenly her heart moved. She remembered the secret Tang Zheng told her. He had the 9 yang saint body. If the pure yang energy exploded, it must be the neutralization of the pure yin energy. Looking like he was about to burn, it must be the explosion of the pure yang body. It must be the neutralization of the pure yin energy. Where did the pure yin energy come from? Of course it came from her body. She undressed without hesitation. Her snow-white skin was gradually exposed to the air. Her palms touched Tang Zheng's skin. Bang! A burst of burnt meat smell. She immediately groaned in pain and frowned. But she endured the pain and didn't shrink back. She knew that she was Tang Zheng's last hope. She absolutely couldn't shrink back even if she was burned. So her whole body leaned on Tang Zheng's body. A burst of green smoke rose. She felt as if her skin was torn open. She gritted her teeth, aimed at that part and sat down. Chapter 353. A blazing flame-like energy rushed into Lu Qingmei's body, but the pure yin energy in her body suddenly erupted, and a cool feeling like a tide neutralized the blazing energy. Lu Qingmei directly fainted under the impact of this energy, but their bodies still maintained the most intimate contact. Tang Zheng felt that he was about to explode, but suddenly a wave of pure yin energy rushed into his body, instantly suppressing the berserk pure yang energy. The two energies and the energy of the Dragon Yuan Dan complemented each other, and quickly transformed into true qi, which rapidly soared from 8 inches to 9 inches, and finally directly broke through the profound entrances. Only to hear a thunderous sound coming from his dantian, his whole body was emitting a red light, which also wrapped Lu Qingmei. Only when the sky turned white did the red light disappear, revealing 2 naked people. Lu Qingmei's burned skin was as good as new, like white jade, shining with a white luster. Both of them opened their eyes at the same time, and seeing this intimate contact, Lu Qingmei's face couldn't help but blush, but still asked with concern, "Are you okay?" Tang Zheng shook his head. He already understood what happened. At the critical moment of his life and death, Lu Qingmei risked her life to save him, and pulled him back from the gates of hell. He couldn't help but have a lingering fear. The Dragon Yuan Dan he refined had far surpassed the original Dragon Yuan Dan, and the energy of the true dragon's blood was so terrifying that it directly detonated his pure yang body, causing the crisis of his body exploding to erupt prematurely. If not for Lu Qingmei using the most primitive method to transfer the pure yin energy in her body to him, then he really would have exploded and died. However, because he walked through the gates of hell, his harvest was also very big. His cultivation soared again and again, and directly broke through to the first grade in Idia, which was equivalent to a first-grade Xiantian martial artist. In addition, he found that the true fire in his sea of consciousness had also undergone a qualitative leap, becoming a third-grade true fire. The flame was dark and emitted a flirtatious taste. Boom! Tang Zheng opened his palm, and a third-grade true fire began to burn in his palm. The flame danced as if it could burn everything. Ah, Tang Jing, my power has also increased. Suddenly, Lu Qingmei couldn't hold back her surprise and shouted excitedly. 2BE, not only did the Dragon Origin Pill increase my cultivation, it also allowed you to jump 2 levels, reaching the 3rd grade of refining qi. Tang Jing was also very surprised. One must know that when he cultivated to the 3rd grade refining qi, it took him nearly a month, but Lu Qingmei only took a few days. However, after thinking about it, she was relieved. This was the effect of the Dragon Yuan Pill. A portion of the energy of the Dragon Yuan Pill had been transferred to her body. Her cultivation was not high to begin with, so under the effect of the Dragon Yuan Pill, she naturally advanced at lightning speed. Lu Qingmei was originally prepared to die to save them, but she didn't expect to get a blessing in disguise. She was overjoyed. Sister Mei, thank you. Without you, I would have been in danger last night. Tang Jing sincerely thanked her. Lu Qingmei smiled. You are my lover, the two of us are one, how could I not save you? Tang Jing held her in his arms, and the two of them were tightly pressed together. Lu Qingmei couldn't help but gasp and said, Don't move. Tang Jing deliberately straightened his body, and Lu Qingmei cried out in alarm, Xiaobai is next to us. Xiaobai. Tang Jing turned his head to look, only to see the little guy lying on the side as if it was asleep. It doesn't matter, it's asleep. Early in the morning, the two's hormones were soaring and Lu Qingmei was also aroused. Not long after, the battle began. After the wind stopped and the rain stopped, Lu Qingmei seemed to have fallen apart, lying on the bed in satisfaction, her eyes full of deep affection. Tang Jing walked in front of Xiaobai. He heard the strange sound of Xiaobai secretly eating the Dragon Yuan Dan last night, and was greatly surprised. He fiddled with Xiaobai and the little guy slowly woke up, opening its big round eyes. Tang Jing's eyes lit up, the fiery red in the little guy's eyes became stronger, and its hair became whiter, without a trace of impurities. Xiaobai seems to have also transformed. Tang Jing didn't know what kind of divine beast Xiaobai was, and was quite curious about what he would become in the end. Squeak squeak. Xiaobai cried out in high spirits, and went to the porcelain bottle containing the Dragon Yuan Dan, as if it wanted to eat the Dragon Yuan Dan again. Tang Jing quickly put it away, and Xiaobai immediately pouted, quite dissatisfied, as if complaining that Tang Jing was a stingy person. Tang Jing wasn't stingy, this Dragon Yuan Dan was really too fierce, and Xiaobai didn't know the severity. If it ate too much, it would cause some bad consequences. He wasn't completely sure, so he would rather not let it eat. Moreover, he couldn't continue to eat. He had to wait until his power was consolidated and reached a certain stage before he could take it, or else Lu Qingmei's purine energy might not be able to save him if his body exploded again. He put away the remaining 8 Dragon Yuan Dan and taught Lu Qingmei some spells, letting her practice at home. When she reached the 3rd grade of qi refining, she could practice the most basic spells, and in the future she would have the power to protect herself. When Tang Jing returned to school, Li Xiaotian found him. He faintly felt that his temperament seemed to have changed a lot, but he didn't ask much. Instead, he told him the results of the investigation on whales and Jianghu. The Li Palace's intelligence system was indeed powerful. In just one night they found out the general situation. Wales was actually a member of the Western Empire's Rockefeller family. This family was the largest family in the Western Empire, with wealth comparable to that of a country. Moreover, they had great influence in politics, the military, and the business world. Wuxia had many large families coexisting, while the Western Empire was dominated by one family. The entire country was under the influence of the Rockefeller family. It was just that they didn't think that the Rockefeller family wasn't scheming for commercial interests, but for the interests of a country. In other words, it was also a conspiracy of the Western Empire. They wanted to use this method to destroy the spirit of the people of Wuxia, and their intentions were sinister. The Rockefeller family had been secretly plotting in Wuxia for many years, and many officials had been bribed by them, becoming their accomplices in plundering benefits. We must destroy this conspiracy, Li Xiaotian said solemnly. Of course, but have you found out what follow-up actions they have? Tang Jing asked. Li Xiaotian shook his head and said, the other party's actions are very secretive. I haven't found anything yet, but they will definitely take action against you. I think we will see the results in 2 days. The results came out very quickly. The Martial Arts Association once again sent out invitations to all the boxing experts in the world to participate in the martial arts conference. Many of the experts who had originally refused actually agreed and came in droves. In a few days, a large number of experts had gathered in the capital. This time, the Martial Arts Association showed their face again. The face that had been swept away by Tang Zheng was won back, and everyone's attention was pulled back to the Martial Arts Association. The Martial Arts Association issued a statement that these experts would participate in the Martial Arts Conference. If anyone wanted to spar with them, then they had to sign up for the Martial Arts Conference. They also mentioned names, and Tang Zheng was no exception. Tang Zheng had originally hoped to spar with these people independently of the Martial Arts Association, but he did not expect the Martial Arts Association to get involved again. The strange thing was that these experts who had originally disdained the Martial Arts Association actually agreed. There must be a reason for this abnormality. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian immediately guessed this point. Third brother, the Martial Arts Association just issued an announcement that a press conference will be held at the Shangri-La Hotel this afternoon to announce the Martial Arts Conference. At that time, the experts from all over the world will appear one by one, and the domestic registration period will also end at the press conference. Sinosaurus and the other two ran over, panting. The Martial Arts Association is too despicable. They didn't even inform you. I don't think they want you to participate at all. They also knew that the chairman of the Martial Arts Association had been beaten up by Tang Zheng a few days ago, and they thought it was a deliberate revenge. However, Tang Zheng understood that the situation was far more complicated than they had imagined. The Martial Arts Association had two motives for doing this. First, if Tang Zheng did not participate in the Martial Arts Conference, then the experts from all over the world would not spar with him. Moreover, they would defeat the other participants from Wuxia one by one in front of everyone. This was undoubtedly the most fatal blow to Wuxia's martial arts. From then on, Wuxia's martial arts would completely lose the hearts of the people and never recover from this setback. Abandoned child. If Tang Zheng participated in the Martial Arts Conference, then he would be lowering his head to the Martial Arts Association, and the Martial Arts Association would gain back some face. As for what tricks the other party would use to defeat Tang Zheng in the subsequent matches, they could not think of any for the time being. Li Xiaotian also understood this point in an instant, and he was unable to restrain his anger. This Martial Arts Association is too hateful. Let's go smash their place. Yes, let's go make a scene at the venue and embarrass the Martial Arts Association. Sinosaurus and the others agreed. This bunch of officials, instead of doing proper business, they are thinking of some sinister methods to harm people. Tang Zheng smiled coldly. After all, their little tricks are not elegant. They want to use this kind of method to checkmate me. How can I let them do as they wish? I want to make them go for wool but come home shorn. Oh, what are you going to do? They were curious. You'll know when the time comes. Tang Zheng smiled mysteriously and went straight to the Shangri-La Hotel with Li Xiaotian. There was already a sea of people outside the hotel. This time, the debate about martial arts had already caused a stir and attracted the attention of many people. When they heard that a press conference would be held, both the pro-martial arts faction and the anti-martial arts faction rushed over. However, these two groups of people were already arguing outside the hotel. The competition on the internet had become face-to-face. Their faces were red, and there were signs that they were going to fight without saying a word. The hotel's security guards were so busy that they broke out in cold sweat. These hundreds of people could actually be stopped by just a few of them. At this time, more than 10 cars drove to the entrance of the hotel, and people got out one by one. Immediately, the atmosphere changed because the people who got out of the cars had different faces. Many of them were foreigners, and they raised their necks arrogantly as if they were superior to others. One of them glanced at the quarreling parties and sneered disdainfully. The weak only know how to win with words. Only the strong solve problems with their fists. As he spoke, he waved his fist. Chapter 354. One of the martial artists was furious. He rushed forward and questioned, "Who are you calling weak?" The Westerner said arrogantly, "Of course it's you guys, ha. You're just a bunch of people who only know how to talk. Who are you? How dare you come to our country and spout nonsense? I'm an expert invited by your martial arts association to participate in the competition. I'm here to defeat you and show you what true strength is. You won't succeed. Our martial artists will beat you to a pulp." "Humph, are you talking about that young man? He's just a so-so. He's dreaming if he wants to beat me. You people from Wuxia have always been weak. It was like that 100 years ago and it's still the same now. That will never change. the Westerner said disdainfully. The history of Wuxia 100 years ago was the most humiliating period in its history. It was unbearable to look back on. Because of its weak national strength, it was broken by the Western Empire's strong ships and cannons. From then on, it signed many unequal and humiliating treaties. More than 100 years had passed, and these Westerners still thought that the Chinese could be bullied as they wished. They really deserved to die. This was intolerable. His words poked a hornet's nest. Many people shouted, "What did you say? Do you think I won't beat you?" Said. "Yes, beat this Westerner up." The crowd was riled up. The Westerner was not afraid at all. Instead, he said provocatively, "See, I told you all only know how to talk. When it comes to true strength, you're all cowards, ha." Everyone's faces turned red, but the other party was an expert. Everyone knew that they were just ordinary people and were no match for the other party. Therefore, they did not dare to say anything. At this time, the staff of the Martial Arts Association walked out and scolded loudly, "What are you shouting for? This is an important guest. How can you be rude to an important guest?" When the Westerner heard this, he was furious. "F***ck your mother. This person insulted our country and you're speaking up for him." The staff said disdainfully, "A bunch of boring people." Then he said to the crowd of fighters, "Everyone please come in. The press conference is about to begin." Many of the fighters revealed proud smiles, turned around and walked inside. "Stop." The person who supported the martial arts shouted, "If no one wants to challenge you, then I'll challenge you. I want you to apologize for what you said just now. Wuxia will not allow you to insult her." "So what if I insult you? What can you do about it? Are you a match for me? I can crush you with one finger." The Westerner said contemptuously, "I won't allow you to insult Wuxia." The person from the martial arts faction roared and rushed forward. The Western man threw a punch and hit his opponent's chest. Bang! The martial faction fell to the ground in a sorry state and was in so much pain that he could not get up. "Too weak. Not even worth mentioning," the Westerner said. "Ah." Many other boxers chimed in loudly. Immediately the others were enraged. They pointed at the other party and asked why they were attacking. At that moment, the staff of the Martial Arts Association stood up and shouted, "What are you doing? It's clear that this person attacked first. His skills are inferior, so he deserves to be beaten. He's lucky that he didn't die." This insult from their own compatriots made everyone even angrier. It was no wonder that foreigners looked down on Wuxia. Even their own compatriots had so many lackeys. It would be strange if other people looked down on them. Tang Jing walked into the crowd and happened to see this scene. Immediately the evil fire surged. The Martial Arts Association was rotten to the bone. If the upper beam was not straight, the lower beam would be crooked. With Jianghu, a lackey who sold his country for glory, it was no wonder that there were such subordinates. Seeing that the other party was helping foreigners to insult their own compatriots, Tang Jing walked over with a gloomy face and said, "Please apologize to this gentleman." "Who are you?" The staff did not recognize Tang Jing. "I'm a Wuxia." The staff curled his lips and said disdainfully, "Get lost. You have no right to speak here." "Are you still a Wuxia?" Tang Jing questioned. "It's none of your business. Are you asking for a beating?" The staff had also learned a few tricks. Seeing that Tang Jing was deliberately finding fault with him and making him lose face in front of the foreign guests, the anger in his heart rose. "If that's the case, then you asked for it." Finished speaking, he used a capturing hand to grab Tang Jing's wrist. Tang Jing moved as fast as lightning. With a backhand grab, he grabbed the staff's arm first. Then, with a crack, he directly broke it. This time he did not dislocate the staff's arm. Instead, he directly broke the staff's arm. Because the other party was a Wuxia, but he was helping the tyrant. This was even more hateful, so Tang Jing was even more ruthless. The staff screamed involuntarily. The others looked at this scene in disbelief. This person moved too fast. Before they could see clearly how he did it, the staff's arm was broken. In addition, this person was too bold. He dared to make a move at the Martial Arts Association's press conference. This was simply a challenge and a slap in the face of the Martial Arts Association. "I recognize him. Isn't this person Brother Kung Fu?" Suddenly someone exclaimed. After his reminder, the others also reacted. Wasn't this person the famous Brother Kung Fu? He actually came to the hotel and taught the people of the Martial Arts Association a lesson so neatly. It was so satisfying. Many people who supported the martial arts shouted excitedly, "Brother Kung Fu, we support you. You're good. Teach these traitors a lesson. It's too hateful." Tang Jing nodded to the excited crowd, then squatted down to support the person who supported the martial arts and asked, "How are your injuries?" The other party looked at Tang Jing excitedly and seemed to have forgotten the pain in his body. He said, "Brother Kung Fu, it's really you? I knew you would come and defeat these people who don't believe in Wuxia's martial arts. You're the best. I'll support you to the end." "Thank you. It's because of this group of people that Wuxia's martial arts can be passed down for a long time. Decades or centuries later, when people talk about Wuxia's martial arts, you have a part to play. Without your trust and support, the inheritance of Wuxia's martial arts will be affected by some people with ulterior motives," Tang Jing said. When the other party heard this, he asked in disbelief, "I'm not a martial arts practitioner. Do I have a part to play in the inheritance of martial arts?" Tang Jing nodded solemnly. "Of course. Well, with your words, I haven't believed in Wuxia's martial arts for so many years in vain. I promise that I will continue to believe in it in the future. My son and my grandson will continue to believe in it." "Yes, we will continue to believe in it." The group of people who supported the martial arts were excited. However, there would always be some clowns jumping out. A person with a sarcastic tone said disdainfully, "What you say sounds better than singing. Martial arts depends on one's real ability, not on one's mouth. Relying on one's mouth to show off, that's a sissy, not a martial artist." "Yes, these people are just trying to show off. I don't think they have any ability. They should wash up and go back to sleep. Don't come and make a fool of themselves." This was the person who supported the martial arts. Tang Jing coldly snorted. In any country, there would always be a small group of people who thought they were smart, but always did things that hurt their loved ones and pleased their enemies. "Your brother Kung Fu?" Suddenly, a voice interrupted Tang Jing's thoughts. He saw the Western man who attacked earlier walk in front of Tang Jing. Tang Jing helped the people who supported the martial arts up and said, "I'm you. Oh, you have some ability, but I think you're just SOSO. The Western man tilted his head and said, "Is that so?" Tang Jing did not comment. He pointed at the Western man and said, "You just spoke rudely and hurt many people. You hurt the feelings of Wuxia people. I want you to apologize for your words and actions." "Aha, you want me to apologize?" The Western man laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. "Yes, you're not standing in your Western Empire, but in Wuxia's land. You publicly insulted Wuxia people. If you don't apologize, then don't even think about leaving this country alive." Tang Jing said coldly. "Ah, what a joke. What ability do you have to say that? With your showy martial arts?" The Western man had seen videos of Tang Jing's fights. Although he admitted that his opponent was not an ordinary showy martial arts, he was still confident that he could defeat Tang Jing. "Humph, we'll know if I have the ability after we try. Well, although the martial arts conference has not started yet, I don't mind warming up with a fight. Come on, kid, let me teach you what a real master is." When the others heard this, they had different expressions. No one expected a fight to break out before the martial arts conference started. The staff member with the broken arm took advantage of the chaos to sneak into the hotel. "Brother Kung Fu, teach this Western man a lesson." The people who supported the martial arts shouted. The other foreigners were not willing to be left behind. They all shouted, "Kyle, teach this kid a lesson. Make him kneel on the ground and beg for mercy." "Ah, good, as you wish." Kyle smiled proudly as he clenched his fists. Immediately, the muscles on his arms bulged and his bones cracked. Tang Jing said expressionlessly, "Do it. I advise you to do it first. Otherwise, if I do, you won't have the chance to do it." Kyle said. Tang Jing snorted and said, "If that's the case, then fall for me." Tang Jing tiptoed and shot out like an arrow. He threw a punch at his opponent. Kyle's reaction was also very fast. He also threw a punch. Bang. The two fists collided and a muffled sound rang out. But right after that, the sound of bones breaking rang out. The blood vessels on Kyle's sturdy arms had actually exploded, and blood spurted out. A section of bone directly pierced through the muscles and was exposed outside. It was eerie white and was covered in blood. It was exceptionally terrifying. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. No one expected that Kyle's arm would be crippled with just one punch. This injury was much more serious than the injury suffered by the staff member just now. It was unknown how many bones were broken, and even the blood vessels had exploded. How much power did he need to exert? Everyone had different feelings, but no one cheered and no one cursed because they were really shocked by this attack. Chapter 355. Tang Zheng's next attack was so fast that it was dazzling. Only the shadows of his fists could be seen flying. Kyle's chest, abdomen, and head were hit one after another, and the sound of his head breaking was incessant. Li Gu was dead meat. In the end, there was a loud bang as Kyle smashed into the hood of a car. The hood quickly caved in and white smoke rose from it. At this moment, screams suddenly sounded, and the foreign boxers were like springs under their feet. They quickly shot in front of Tang Zheng and glared at him. "You dare to hurt people?" Everyone was an expert. They didn't need to check at all to know how serious Kyle's injuries were. This person was really disabled. In the future, his fighting strength would be even worse than that of an ordinary person. It was very likely that he would be left with a disability. Tang Zheng stood proudly. Under the watchful eyes of the many enemies, he did not show the slightest bit of fear. Instead, the corners of his mouth hooked up into a faint smile as he said, "Do you want to start fighting here? I'll accompany you." Several boxers were eager to try, but they didn't dare to attack rashly. Tang Zheng's lightning-like attack just now had made them understand that Tang Zheng was not a showy fighter. He had real strength. "What are you doing?" Suddenly Yu Zhangkue walked out, and a large number of news reporters also heard the news and quickly walked out. Seeing this tense situation, the reporters seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. They were quite excited and one after another they raised their cameras and aimed them at the parties involved. Yu Zhangkue's face was gloomy. He glanced at the wounded and dying Kyle, then turned his head to stare at Tang Zheng. His eyes were almost spitting fire. He didn't expect Tang Zheng to be so bold and dare to attack in front of so many people. Moreover, his attack was so heavy that he directly disabled Kyle. "Tang Zheng, do you know what you are doing?" Yu Zhangkue had already planned that no matter how Tang Zheng responded, the Martial Arts Association would win back face. However, Tang Zheng disrupted the rhythm. Tang Zheng said frankly, "Of course I know. This man not only insulted our country and our people, but also dared to attack our compatriots. Does he think that this is still a century ago? Wuxia is going to let them bully her?" Tang Zheng's words were powerful and resonated with many people as they all shouted, "We will not allow them to bully us. If they dare to bully us, we will beat them until they are looking for their teeth on the ground and send them back to their grandma's house." "Shut up. Don't spout nonsense. These are VIP guests that the Martial Arts Association specially invited. They're here to participate in the martial arts tournament, and they're all very well-mannered people. How could they be like what you're saying?" Yu Zhangkue spared no effort in defending the Westerners. "That's right. We didn't say anything at all. It's all because of this guy. He's the one who injured Kyle. He must be held responsible and be severely punished." The Westerners were not idiots and immediately agreed. Seeing the other party's clumsy praise, Tang Zheng laughed disdainfully. "You're lying in front of so many people. Don't you feel ashamed?" "That's right. It's too shameless. We're not blind or deaf. We won't forget what you've done just now. We'll remember all the insults you've inflicted on our country and our people." The crowd was agitated. This scene was recorded by the camera, and Tang Zheng's powerful questioning was also recorded without reservation. Yu Zhangkue saw this and felt a chill in his heart. If this matter was messed up, then his benefits would be gone. All of his previous efforts would be in vain. Therefore he shouted in a deep voice, "Shut up. He's a guest from afar. Wuxia is a hospitable nation. How can we neglect our guests like this? Hurry up and help Mr. Kyle to get treatment. As for some people's responsibilities, they must be strictly investigated." As he spoke, he glared fiercely at Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng wasn't afraid at all. He wasn't the ignorant person he used to be. He wasn't someone who could be bullied by others. "Dear guests, please come in first. I'll take care of this matter," Yu Zhangkue carefully said to the Westerners. The Westerners coldly snorted. They also knew how to take advantage of the situation. Therefore, they glared at Tang Zheng with an unfriendly expression and left in a huff, entering the hotel. "Aha, these people are also cowards. Kung Fu Bro is so powerful that they don't even dare to fart." The crowd vented their anger. "That's right. This is Wuxia's land. How can they be allowed to strut around? Of course we have to thank Kung Fu Bro for this. Unlike some people who only know how to be arrogant at home, when they meet a foreigner they're like their own son." The crowd's words were like steel needles that pierced Yu Zhangkue's heart. His heart felt as if it was bleeding. His expression kept changing until finally, his face was ashen as he said, "Tang Zheng, you have to take responsibility for your actions." "Haha, of course I will take responsibility. Let me tell you, I came this time to defeat these fighters you invited and let them know the profoundness of Huaxia's martial arts. Tang Jing solemnly vowed. Yu Zhangkui's eyes flashed with a hint of pride. He thought to himself that this brat still lowered his head to the Martial Arts Association and still came to participate in this martial arts convention. Tang Jing didn't lower his head. The Martial Arts Association was so cunning that they used the Martial Arts Convention as a threat. If Tang Jing didn't participate, then he wouldn't be able to compete with these fighters. Although he participated in the Martial Arts Convention and it looked like the Martial Arts Association temporarily suppressed Tang Jing, in reality, this wasn't the case. This Martial Arts Convention scale was especially large. Not only did it attract domestic attention, but it also attracted international attention. The Martial Arts Convention's finals would be broadcasted live to the world on the internet. This was an excellent opportunity. Since Tang Jing wanted to prove Huaxia's martial arts to the world, then he would use this opportunity to show the world the power of Huaxia's martial arts. He wanted to defeat all his opponents fair and square. When that time came, Huaxia's martial arts would be deeply rooted in the hearts of the people, and the spirit of martial arts would be reinstilled in the hearts of Huaxia's people. The Martial Arts Association's sinister goal would be destroyed. Therefore, Tang Jing was only a temporary drag, and they would fight for greater benefits in the future. Isn't the deadline for the Martial Arts Convention's registration later? I also want to sign up. Tang Jing said. When the time comes, don't get kicked out in the knockout round. That would really be a disgrace. How can you talk about being broad and profound? Yu Zhangkui said sarcastically. Tang Jing didn't care and strode into the hotel. Yu Zhangkui followed in dejectedly. The other reporters were all excited. They had already thought of the title and content for tomorrow's report. This martial arts convention would definitely attract everyone's attention. Tang Jing finished the registration procedures and then sat in the audience seats in the hall. The Westerners sat directly at the guest seats. Under the spotlight, they showed unruly expressions. In addition, a few of the leaders of the Martial Arts Association and a few sect leaders were also sitting in the guest seats. These people were frequent guests of the previous martial arts circle tournaments, but this time, all of them had resentment on their faces. They seemed to be a little absent-minded, especially when they looked at the Westerners. Their gazes were filled with fear. Obviously, they also understood that they were not a match for these people with flashy moves. Many people did not understand why Yu Zhangkui would make such a big deal out of this martial arts tournament and invite all the powerful boxers in the world. Was he not deliberately making things difficult for them? However, Yu Zhangkui had an official status, and the martial arts convention was a semi-official competition. Of course, Yu Zhangkui made the final decision. Even if others had different opinions, they could only keep them. The audience seats were gradually filled with people. Many of them were the crowd that had just watched. They all gave Tang Jing a thumbs up and cheered him on. Li Xiaotian sat next to him and whispered, "You were so impressive just now. You completely suppressed the momentum of that group of people." Tang Jing lightly said, "Don't underestimate these Westerners. In fact, their strength is not bad. Just now, even though I knocked down Kyle with a series of attacks, I also felt that the opponent's body was strong." After a pause, he sighed and continued, "In fact, to be honest, the bodies of foreigners are really stronger than many of our people. This leads to their great strength. Their boxing skills are also relatively simple. They don't have as many martial arts routines as our country. They pay more attention to external attack power than internal force cultivation. This is another way of cultivation, but after successful cultivation, their strength can't be underestimated." Li Xiaotian nodded. "I haven't had much contact with these Westerners, but what you said makes sense. Just now, I saw that there were indeed masters in the other team. Although they didn't have strong internal force fluctuations, their combat strength can't be underestimated. Your cultivation is only equivalent to that of a Hotian warrior, so you have to be careful." Li Xiaotian didn't know that Tang Jing had broken through to the fasting realm, which was equivalent to that of a Xiantian warrior. However, Tang Jing didn't explain. He just nodded gently to show that he understood. There was another clamor at the door and another group of people walked in. However, these people didn't have Western faces. Instead, they had Eastern faces like the people from Huaxia. However, it was obvious that these people weren't from Huaxia, but from several countries around Huaxia. Their land area couldn't be compared to that of Huaxia, but many of them were very developed. Especially in the area of martial arts, many countries' martial arts were even passed down from Huaxia hundreds of thousands of years ago, and then passed down and improved to the current situation. Therefore, many martial arts were of the same origin as Wuxia's martial arts. There were also many that paid attention to the cultivation of internal force, which was completely different from Western boxing. Tang Jing swept his gaze around and noticed a person in the group. This person was extremely skinny and did not have a trace of excess meat on his body. His physique was not tall, only 1.7 meters tall. His face was dark, but his eyes were filled with an ominous light. Tang Jing took notice of his 2 legs. When he walked, they were strong and powerful. Moreover, every step seemed to have been measured, not a bit more, not a bit less. This person is Sampa, Tang Jing said. Li Xiaotian also noticed this person and secretly nodded. He's worthy of being the #1 master of Muay Thai. Although he looks to be in his 30s, his cultivation is definitely not low. He's quite a strong opponent for you. Chapter 356. These Asian faces were not simple, and Tang Jing felt a familiar aura from a few of them. Island Nation warriors. Tang Jing had fought with the Island Nation people too many times, so he was quite familiar with their aura and mannerisms. Island Nation people are here again? Did Sawada Ichiro summon them? But I didn't find Sawada Ichiro among them? He did not know the details, so he looked at the other Asian faces. These people were like actors in an opera, and many of them were even in makeup, giving off a feminine vibe. Hey, these people must be from the small country in the East, Korea. Plastic surgery is popular in the country, but their TV series and variety shows have a lot of fans in Wuxia. Such a small country is participating in the Martial Arts Circle Convention. This time, the Martial Arts Association is really determined, Tang Jing said. He did not have a good impression of this country that liked to steal the traditional culture of other countries. He thought to himself that he must teach these Koreans a lesson during the competition. Li Xiaotian said with a half-smile, "You're going against the whole world. So what? Don't be fooled by the so-called martial arts of some countries, but when it comes to a real life and death battle, it might not be useful. Take Korea's Taekwondo for example. It's purely for showing off and tricking little girls. It's not presentable," Tang Jing said disapprovingly. Li Xiaotian agreed, "That's why you have to expose their disguise this time. If it wasn't for my sensitive identity, I would want to participate in this martial arts circle convention." Many guests were invited to the stage, and the audience below the stage was also filled with people. There was a long row of cameras and cameras. The chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Jianghu, went up to the stage to give a speech and announce some details of the Martial Arts Circle Convention. The Martial Arts Circle Convention would be held tomorrow at the National Stadium, and it would be the largest martial arts circle convention in history. Then a few guest representatives spoke. Dai Beiyin from the Western Empire pointed out that they would definitely defeat Wuxia's martial arts and show them a true master. Such remarks immediately provoked a backlash from the people below, and there was a lot of discussion. However, the Westerner was not afraid at all, and continued to speak step by step. In fact, this was a provocation. Coupled with the scene at the entrance of the hotel, many people hated these Westerners. The representatives of the Island Nation and the Gaoli Nation also spoke one after another. Although their words were very calm and did not have too many provocative words, the confidence and arrogance revealed between the lines still made people secretly hate them. The great Wuxia was provoked by such a small country. Many people could not bear such humiliation. They looked at the representative of the Martial Arts Association, hoping that he could give a strong counterattack. The representative of the Martial Arts Association looked down with an expressionless face, as if he had not heard anything. It was chilling. Siam's Muay Thai representative, Sampa, stood up to speak. His men glanced at the crowd as if trying to find someone. His Wuxia language was very stiff, but people could barely understand. "I came here to duel with the person in the video. He is a master. I will have a fair fight with him and I will defeat him." After that, he turned around and walked back to his seat. Everyone immediately knew who he was talking about, and quite a few people turned to look at Tang Jing. Tang Jing's heart moved, as even though this Song Ba still displayed a powerful self-confidence, he sounded much more pleasing to the ear than the other speakers. At the very least, he did not mix in so many messy words of arrogance, and instead purely pursued a confrontation of strength. The representative of the Martial Arts Association went on stage. He was expressionless and spoke as if he was reciting a script. He said that the most important thing was to participate, to compete, and to learn humbly from everyone. The crowd was infuriated. Just now, so many people were pointing at the nose and saying that Chinese martial arts would not be able to withstand a single blow and would definitely defeat the Chinese. However, this spokesperson turned a deaf ear to them like a puppet and said such nonsense as if he was chanting scriptures. As long as it was someone with passion and a sense of national honor, they would not be able to stand it. Sure enough, a shoe was thrown out from the crowd and directly hit the representative's face, leaving a clear shoe print. "Get out, we don't want to listen to your nonsense. Damn it, they are bullying us and you only know how to talk nonsense. It's really embarrassing. Yes, get out, you can't represent Wuxia's martial arts." The crowd was agitated and many people stood up. The situation suddenly collapsed, and the reporters recorded this explosive scene. The representative's face turned red with embarrassment, and he did not know what to do. Didn't he always speak like this before? There had never been a problem, so why did it go wrong this time? He did not know that many people in the audience had already been provoked. His soft speech was like a fuse that ignited the explosive in the hearts of the audience. The representative turned to Jianghu and asked him to make the decision. Jianghu's face was livid. A good press conference turned out like this and it made him lose face. He got up, walked over and scolded in a low voice, "Get out." The representative felt like he had been granted amnesty, and went back to sit down dejectedly. Jianghu coughed, cleared his throat and said sternly, "What are you doing? This is a press conference, not a market. It's not a place where you can do whatever you want. *CKoff, you were bullied to the point of being a coward. Are you still Wuxia's people? How dare you scold us?" Whoosh. Another shoe flew out from the crowd and hit Jianghu's face. Jianghu did not let down his guard. Moreover, he had some martial arts skills, so he quickly dodged. However, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Another shoe also flew out, and it just happened to calculate the trajectory of his dodge, and it ruthlessly hit his face. Slap. There was a soft sound like a slap on his face. This time the person who threw the shoe was very strong, and his face immediately turned red. Jianghu was about to go crazy. He flew into a rage and said, "Who is it? Who attacked me? I'm going to catch you and make you suffer." However, there were so many people in the audience. How could he find the murderer? "Get out, Wuxia's martial arts are not something you can represent. Kung Fu Bro, let Kung Fu Bro go up. Only Kung Fu Bro can represent Wuxia's martial arts. Get out of the King Martial Arts Association. Yes, get out of the Martial Arts Association. Let Kung Fu Bro speak. Kung Fu Bro. Kung Fu Bro." The crowd immediately boiled over. Everyone shouted the three words Kung Fu Bro at the same time. It was deafening. The people from the Martial Arts Association were about to go crazy, especially Jianghu. If this went on, it would be impossible for him to announce the end of the press conference immediately. He glanced at the crowd and immediately saw Tang Zheng. He remembered this face very clearly, and it could be said that he hated it to the bone. His dislocated arm had been completely restored, but when he saw Tang Zheng, he faintly felt pain in his arm. "Tang Zheng, I will definitely let you win or lose in the competition. You want to ruin my good thing? No way." His eyes bloomed with resentment. Li Xiaotian pushed Tang Zheng's shoulder and said, "Your voice is so loud. Don't you want to go up and say a few words?" Tang Zheng looked at Jianghu and the group of good-for-nothings from the Martial Arts Association from afar, especially the mocking and arrogant attitude of the foreign boxers. The anger in his heart rose. Since this matter could not be settled peacefully, there was no room for retreat, and there was no need to save face for them. Tang Zheng stood up suddenly. Immediately, everyone's gaze was attracted to him, and he became the focus of attention. The crowd's shouts came to an abrupt stop as everyone looked at Tang Zheng with burning eyes, and their hearts uncontrollably sped up by a bit. Kung Fu Bro finally stood up. Tang Zheng strode to the podium, ignoring Jianghu's murderous gaze. He unceremoniously pushed Jianghu away and said into the microphone, "Some people think that our Wuxia people are still the sick and weak body from more than 100 years ago. Some people think that our Wuxia people are still bullied and humiliated by others. Some people think that our martial arts are fragile. Today I stand here to tell these people that the Wuxia people have risen in the world. The humble gift package of the Wuxia people will definitely give the enemy a fatal blow. The martial arts of Wuxia are extensive and profound, with a long history, and will definitely bloom with the brightest light. Those who dare to come to our country and criticize us will be kicked back to their grandma's home. The crowd was really quiet and even a pin drop could be heard. Everyone stared at Tang Jing with their eyes wide open. The foreigners were shocked that there was such a person in Wuxia, but they were also very angry. Tang Jing vividly showed his confidence in Wuxia's martial arts, which was unacceptable to them. In their hearts, their own martial arts were the most powerful. The people of the Martial Arts Association were so ashamed that they wanted to find a hole to hide in. However, these officials' faces were thicker than the city walls. They still sat in their seats calmly, but their eyes were full of resentment when they looked at Tang Jing. They seemed to hate Tang Jing more than the foreigners. They wanted to eat his flesh and drink his blood. However, for the ordinary audience, Tang Jing's words were like an accelerant, completely igniting the blood in their hearts. They only heard the earth-shattering cheers one after another. Yes, kick him back to his grandma's home. Wuxia will win. Wuxia will win. The unprecedented confidence and enthusiasm made every audience clench their fists. Their eyes were red with excitement, and hot tears filled their eyes. How many years had it been since they heard such exciting words? Every time they were faced with external pressure and bullying, they were given a soft official answer, which had worn away too much of the people's enthusiasm and faith. Tang Jing's words just happened to ignite their last trace of enthusiasm. This enthusiasm exploded, and the energy that was glowing was stronger than ever before. No one dared to underestimate it. Clap, clap, clap. Chapter 357. The press conference ended, and the Martial Arts Association slipped away with their tails between their legs. Tang Jing, on the other hand, was in the limelight and became the darling of the media. Countless reporters wanted to interview him, and the audience also surrounded him. Fortunately, he and Li Xiaotian had profound skills, so they did everything they could to squeeze out of the crowd. This press conference caused the Martial Arts Association to lose face, and made Tang Jing famous. Immediately after, there were related reports on the internet, and they were quickly reposted. Tang Jing's speech was very short, but it was a powerful reply to the foreigners' provocation. It was 1,000,000 times sharper than the Martial Arts Association's soft and superficial speech, and it was also more inspiring. Kung Fu Bro's reputation was even more well known on the internet. This martial arts convention also became a hot topic. Many people who originally did not pay attention to this aspect also gradually paid attention. As for the Martial Arts Association, they were even more scolded, especially Jianghu, the president of the Martial Arts Association, was also scolded by name. Jianghu walked around in exasperation, and a few cups were already smashed on the ground. He muttered, "You've gone too far. Tang Jing, I won't let you go. This press conference is messed up and this kid stole the limelight. He also neglected the important guests. What should we do now?" Dong dong. The sound of footsteps could be heard as Mr. Wales walked in. Jianghu's heart skipped a beat and he was shocked. He hurriedly went up to greet him without any arrogance. Instead, he bowed and said with trepidation, "Mr. Wales, about today's press conference?" Mr. Wales waved his hand and said, "It's fine. Tang Jing stole the limelight this time and stirred up many people's emotions, but this is only temporary. The higher he climbs, the more painful it will be when he falls. When his image in people's minds collapses, Huaxia's spirit will naturally collapse. It will be difficult to gather this spirit again within 100 years. Jianghu was overjoyed. He gave a thumbs up and praised, "Mr. Wales is truly brilliant. This effect is even better. Let him jump around for a few days." Wales nodded and continued, "But Kyle was seriously injured by him and became a cripple. This matter cannot be ignored." "Oh, then what are you going to do? Should we call the police and arrest him?" "Hee, if we call the police and arrest him, how are we going to defeat him in the ring?" Wales said mysteriously. "Oh, then what should we do? I have my own plans." Killing intent shot out from Wales' eyes as he spoke in a profound manner. Jianghu couldn't help but recall the scene of Tang Jing and Kyle fighting earlier. Kyle didn't have the strength to fight back at all, which meant that Tang Jing's strength was very high. Thus he said worriedly, "Tang Jing's skills are not simple, I'm afraid." Wales understood what he meant and sneered mysteriously, "So what if you're good at fighting in this world? You still need to rely on your brain." As he spoke, he pointed at his own head proudly. Jianghu's heart trembled as he pondered. When Tang Jing returned to school, he was blocked by Yi Dingdang. The girl pouted and looked at Tang Jing with resentment. "You've been with Li Xiaotian these past few days and didn't accompany me? If you're going to that press conference, I can go with you." Tang Jing smiled bitterly. Aren't you in class? I'm going to skip class. I can skip class too. Yi Dingdang said without hesitation. She even purposely glanced at Li Xiaotian. This woman was too shameless. She followed Tang Jing all day like a third wheel. Now that the two of them were talking intimately, she was also watching with interest. She openly listened to them from the side. Yi Dingdang naturally couldn't show weakness. Thinking of Feng Xinyang's advice, she gritted her teeth and hugged Tang Jing's arm. Tang Jing immediately felt a soft sensation on his arm. He couldn't help but glance down. His arm was pressed against her chest and was a little deformed. You're very famous now. Many people on the internet are supporting you, hoping that you can defeat those foreigners. Are you confident? Yi Dingdang asked curiously. You and I have known each other for so long. Do you think I won't be confident? Of course you are, Yi Dingdang said. You're the best. You can definitely defeat those people and become the champion. Then do you have classes tomorrow? Come with me to the arena. Tang Jing's heart moved as he asked. Yi Dingdang was overjoyed and hurriedly nodded her head. Okay, the two of us will go together. I also want to see those fighters. Do you want me to pull in some cheerleaders to cheer you on? No need. Tang Jing declined. Let's wait until the finals. The next day, Tang Jing rested for the whole night. Then Yi Dingdang and Li Xiaotian went to the national stadium together for the first round of the knockout round. There were already many people outside the stadium. Everyone's interest was aroused by the media's lengthy reports. They all wanted to see the situation of the real masters fighting. However, when the knockout round started, everyone found that there were no foreigners on the stage. They were all Wuxia people. The organizers of the Martial Arts Association explained that the foreign boxers were specially invited guests. They were masters who had been internationally famous for a long time. Therefore, they were qualified to advance directly and didn't need to participate in the knockout round. This aroused the dissatisfaction of the audience. This was clearly discrimination. In their own country, foreigners were superior. How preposterous. However, the rules of the game were set by the Martial Arts Association and couldn't be changed. Everyone could only focus on the knockout round. The elimination round was not much different from the previous rounds in the martial arts tournament. They were all flashy fights and they fought against each other for a long time. They looked incredibly dangerous, but in truth they were all moves that had been rehearsed beforehand, and they were incredibly fake. The audience was tired of this fake show. They snorted at it and kept booing. All the boxers resisted the booing and finally decided the winner. They couldn't wait to get off the stage. We want to see Kung Fu Bro's real skills. Kung Fu Bro, hurry up and get on the stage, someone shouted. The others echoed. Actually, Kung Fu Bro can advance directly. These people from the Martial Arts Association are very despicable. They don't treat everyone equally. They even made Kung Fu Bro fight from the start of the knockout round. Yes, this is clearly bullying. It doesn't matter. Do those idiots from the Martial Arts Association think this can stump Kung Fu Bro? Wishful thinking. Let us see Kung Fu Bro pass all the stages and defeat all his opponents. This was not like the small audience at the press conference, but an audience of over 1,000 people. However, because this was the elimination round and one needed to buy tickets, there were only over 1,000 people in the audience. However, because this was the elimination round and one needed to buy tickets, there were only over 1,000 people in the audience, but these over 1,000 people cheering for Tang Jing was also quite spectacular. Tang Jing was in the limelight, completely suppressing the others, causing the other participants to have ugly expressions. However, no one dared to raise any objections as there was no other way. Tang Jing had real martial arts while they had fake martial arts. When the devil meets the devil, how could they have the right to make a fuss? Yu Zhankue didn't come today because he knew that Tang Jing would win without any suspense. He didn't want to be provoked again. Tang Jing's opponent was a man in his 50s. When he saw Tang Jing, his legs trembled. He obviously knew that he was no match for Tang Jing, but he didn't have the courage to give up. Otherwise it would be too embarrassing. The two sides exchanged blows. Tang Jing's movements were like lightning and thunder. It was too fast. Just as his opponent got into position, Tang Jing's fist was already in front of him. He quickly retreated in a panic. This person was a little quick-witted. As he retreated, he directly fell to the ground and dodged the attack. Tang Jing leaped over him and swept his leg. Just as this person got up, he realized that Tang Jing's leg was ruthlessly whipping him. He hurriedly reacted and put his fists in front of his chest. Tang Jing's leg ruthlessly whipped his fists. He staggered and staggered back. Tang Jing had seen this person yesterday. He was the representative of Wuxia sitting in the guest seats. It was said that he had participated in several martial arts conferences and was the leader of some sect. Tang Jing originally thought that his opponent had at least some kung fu, but after testing him, he realized that his opponent really only knew how to use flowery but impractical moves. It was all a sham. Tang Jing had no interest in exchanging blows. He controlled his strength and punched out. The opponent couldn't dodge and was hit in the chest. With a whoosh, his opponent flew out of the ring and fell to the ground, motionless. The referee immediately announced that Tang Jing was the winner. The crowd burst into earth-shattering cheers. Many people even shouted, "Kung Fu Bro." Tang Jing nodded to the audience. This battle was won too easily. There was no suspense. He subconsciously looked at his opponent below the ring and found that he was still motionless. The staff members had already rushed to him and helped him up. Suddenly, the staff members' expressions changed greatly. Their eyes bloomed with disbelief. They all turned to look at Tang Jing. Tang Jing's head trembled. He couldn't help but have an ominous premonition. He quickly walked over. The others' attention was also attracted. They all talked at once, not knowing what had happened. "What's wrong?" Tang Jing asked. The staff member said with an ugly expression, "He died." "What, he died?" Tang Jing was shocked. His punch was not enough to kill him. Although this person's moves were flowery but impractical, he was much stronger than the average person. It was impossible for him to die after taking his punch. Tang Jing's expression was dignified and suspicious. The staff members were even more nervous. This kind of martial arts competition would definitely cause injuries, but no one had ever died. So everyone was a little at a loss. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Tang Jing had killed his opponent with a single punch. This matter was blown out of proportion. The audience immediately knew what had happened and they all showed horrified expressions. A martial arts competition was not about killing people. It would be too vicious to directly kill someone. Some of the martial arts factions loudly reprimanded Tang Jing, saying that he was too cruel and merciless. He must pay with his life. The dead man's fellow disciples rushed over and threw themselves on the dead man's body. They wailed and shouted, "Sect leader, you died so unjustly. We will definitely avenge you. A life for a life. We must not let the murderer get away with it." You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.